Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Geeking Out podcast. And this is a very special edition of the Geeking Out podcast because, well, one of the original, the OGs of the channel is back. Nick is on the other end of the line for this very special edition. Nick, what's up, man?
Oh, not much, just a couple hundred miles away. Get ready to watch some Royal Rumble. It is
No,
Royal Rumble season.
it is Royal Rumble season, and this episode will be coming out after uh, the Royal Rumble will air on pay per view, but we are still kind of in the Royal Rumble mode, so we're going to do a watch along, at least of a few matches here on the WWE Network with the Royal Rumble that Nick and I attended back in 2012. It is the 2012 Royal Rumble, and this was a quite quite an interesting time for WWE, at least, so to speak, because it was you were seeing some changes in the direction of the company, because you have CM Punk and Daniel Bryan holding both the world championships at this point, but you're
Hmm.
also building up to The Rock and John Cena just kind of jumping the line, saying "fuck championships" at WrestleMania. It's kind of before NXT really becomes what it is. It's before the Shield. It's before the start of the Yes movement, but it's also kind of like the you know what you'd say the foundation of everything that would cause those things.
Yeah, this is like a prequel of the Yes movement.
Right.
Like if you went back and made a prequel comic, this would be what you would shove in there. Sheamus winning the Royal Rumble.
Right. Um, so we are watching this on the WWE Network. Now, I'm just gonna let you know we're not gonna watch all the entire event. We are gonna be skipping around, and we will tell you the time cues that we are skipping around to in order to better um, suit this. So be sure if you want to follow along with us. So the matches we will be watching will be the triple threat cage match that opens the show with Daniel Bryan, Mark Henry, and the Big Show. The WWE Championship match, Dolph Ziggler and CM Punk. Uh, the Kane and John Cena, and of course the Royal Rumble match itself. And yeah, that those will be we'll be skipping over a Divas tag match and a match with Drew McIntyre and the Funkasaurus that probably Drew McIntyre doesn't want to relive. But
I
it
did bring a Funkasaurus sign to the
you
show,
did bring a Funkasaurus sign to the show, and like well,
that I
well,
put a
well,
lot of work into.
you did put a lot because we were watching. We were at my house when you made it. But all right, let's get this show on the road. Let's get started. We are at 00000. And if you want to follow along with us, start there and press play now. There's Randy Borton. Hey, there's a guy found AEW. I'm Wade Barrett. It's Sheamus. There's another future WWE champion. Okay, real talk. Like, other, if I were when we were watching, let's say we were watching this on pay per view instead of at the arena. If I were to tell you of all those people they just showed on that intro, that the one that would have the least amount of success would be Wade Barrett, you would probably think I was stupid because you would think that at the very least it'd be like, okay, hey, Cody ain't gonna amount to more than a mid Carter, and neither is Kofi, and then
Hmm.
Kofi Mania strikes, and then of course granted it wasn't in the WWE, so some people feel like Cody's success is illegitimate, but there's no denying what he's been able to accomplish away from the WWE.
Hmm.
So,
This is definitely an interesting time, like you said earlier, for WWE because just like you said, it's in that transition between where they are now and where they've been the last few years and where they were before, and that you know the early 2010s is a really terrible time for WWE, I think. I think most people would agree that the 2010, 2011, like there's some highlights
Yeah, but I
obviously,
say there's some highlights, but then there's like,
but what
well,
is it?
we're seeing
Like
we're seeing
if
a
I
roll.
2011, other than Money in the Bank with Punk, like what do you think in WWE? Like nothing was really happening until that the pipe bomb
I can
thing
agree with that.
for like years.
Yeah, like, well,
Um,
it was just kind of this weird. I think 2010 was not a bad year. It was just kind of, and I'll fully concede that I was kind of not, um, maybe not the biggest WWE supporter. Maybe a little bit caught up in the indies too much, into Ring of Honor, and hey, look at the big crowd shot. We are where it says Rumble. We're kind of close to that, like right there on that
were
big pan shot.
we sat we came together, right?
It was the two of
And
us,
then
our friend JC and his
yeah,
sibling, that came
okay,
with
yeah,
us, and
but they sat
they
separately.
sat together, and we sat together, and then we just but we
I
all
back
rode
up. Okay,
together.
yeah,
But it's interesting. Like 2012 was not too terribly bad. Or not. Excuse me, 2010. It had good moments. Like you had an all right WrestleMania that year with Shawn and Taker, and they had a good Royal Rumble that year with Edge's return and kind of Shawn's story. Then, kind of after Shawn retired, it went into like a real deep lull, and then you had the Nexus. But then they fired Daniel Bryan
mm-hmm.
for choking Justin Roberts with a tie, and then they buried the Nexus, and then it's just kind of like then kind of stagnates, and then it leads to in 2011 probably one of my two least favorite WrestleManias of all time. Then the pipe bomb happens, and Daniel Bryan wins Money in the Bank, and we're all happy. And then 18 seconds happens, and then we're not happy. But um, just on a personal level, you have any idea for me who was watching Daniel Bryan in Ring of Honor's Bryan Danielson, how fucking excited I was that I got to see him defend a world title in the WWE at the Royal Rumble. Like I kind of would have liked him been in the match, but like this was like the next best thing was seeing him essentially like, wow, I never thought I would ever see him get this. And he's a heel, but he's still kind of like trolling Michael Cole a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a weird lull period for Daniel Bryan because I mean he was really beginning to turn heel, but on the flip side, he wasn't. He was still getting shit on by Michael Cole, who was still a heel at this point too.
Yeah, I blocked that out of my memory. This whole era of Michael Cole and how terrible this whole
Oh
thing was,
well,
but
well. I'm going to give you some foreshadowing right now, Nick. Be prepared to be triggered later on in the evening.
this whole yeah, I always forget how like so incredibly annoying Michael Cole was during this era.
um, I think this was, with the exception of WrestleMania 35, which we both went to, and WrestleMania 30. I believe this was the last WWE pay per view I bought on a DVD.
Mm,
Because this was before the network, so if there was a pay per view I liked, I'd buy a DVD of it. And I bought this
mm-hmm.
one because of the fact we were there, and it was maybe like the greatest, wasn't the greatest Royal Rumble, that's for sure, but it's
Yeah.
definitely something that I did not mind paying $20 for to have whenever I wanted to, before there was a thought of a WWE streaming service coming to fruition.
Yeah, this one definitely holds a place in my heart for the fact that I was here, and this was actually my first um, WWE pay per view or big. I mean, I'd been to a house show, the one that we went to in high school,
Right.
but since like lapsing as a fan, so when I was a kid, I went to a Monday Night Raw. Actually, went to the Raw is Owen in St. Louis after Owen Hart died. And when I was in second grade. But I went to that, and then I quit watching wrestling for a few years, got back into it in middle school, and this was like the first big show I had went to since then. Um, so for two reasons, and then I later went on to go to a couple WrestleManias and stuff, but this was really the first big live show I'd went to, and obviously the first
There you
Royal
see Big
Rumble.
Show's little girl got scared
Yeah,
and didn't
ducked
take
him.
ducked him, so he had to gave the hat to the girl right beside him. That's kind of
Oh, the AJ Lee stuff. I forgot
yeah,
about that too.
yeah.
I
I
didn't do much prep for this, to be honest. Like as far as
uh
I was watching wrestling at the time. I kind of wanted to come into it
yeah with fresh eyes.
as
I yeah
fresh as I could. Yeah. So I had Eli or I had someone give me the rundown of kind of the timeline. I was like, was this before or after the pipe bomb? Was this
right
like um,
yeah
another little thing you were talking about this being the part where we really feel like we're getting what we want and it ends up not being what we want. Um, we'll get to that match later too, but the Zack Ryder kind of was in that spot at this point as
Zack
well.
Ryder was like. I mean, I'm not obviously. I like Zack Ryder. This was like in the height of the Z True Long Island story in his YouTube show, and before everybody kind of started doing that, Ryder was definitely the man that kind of started that trend. But like, obviously, Ryder had a huge, huge, huge following through the YouTube show, and subsequently, it got brought into his um his on screen character, but uh they were you could say they didn't bury Daniel Bryan as much as they did Ryder, but Bryan ended up getting a movement that just could not be denied. That they literally had to change their WrestleMania plans for the movement, and Ryder just got shit on and shit on and
Yeah,
shit on
but this
and
this
shit
was
on.
this was one of those nights where that happened. This is one of the shittings.
Yes.
In the midst of it seemed like he was getting a little bit of of some attention, some storylines and things. I remember this match being good. I don't know if I've even watched this since we saw it live. I'm sure I
I
have.
watched
I'm
I
sure
watched
I've
the
watched it
DVD
on the
one time
network.
with JC after I bought it. Um, but it's been at least 4 years
Hmm.
since I've seen
But
this, and
I do remember
that's me
liking this
even giving it a
match.
little leeway. Oh yeah, I thought it was a good match. Now there is a biasness here that I got to see not only Daniel Bryan come into a WWE pay per view that I paid to attend with the world title, um, but also if you're watching along with it, the spoilers already are going to happen watching this because if you're watching along with us, I can pretty well assume you've seen this.
Yeah, well, it's been 9 years,
And it's been 9 years, so but then again, I'm not. I know some of my followers, and then this isn't. I'm not knocking them. They're, they haven't watched every WWE pay per view. They got into wrestling through, a little bit later than this, or maybe they just don't remember something like this. So, I have followers that probably haven't gone back and watched a lot of of what is now, for all intents and purposes, an early Royal Rumble. This was 9 years ago, if you
Yeah.
can believe it.
Well, if you're new to wrestling too, I wouldn't necessarily say, hey, why don't you go back and watch stuff from like '09 to 2013?
Right,
Like,
exactly.
that's going to be an area where most wrestling fans tell you, yeah, you didn't miss. You can go ahead and watch Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker and John Cena versus CM Punk, and that's going to be about it.
um, but
What do you think of the knockout punch as a finisher?
I don't mind it. It's kind of like I kind of like how it's like this kind of sudden thing. But the only thing I don't like about it is, hey, why? How come every when the punching begins, why aren't they all getting knocked out?
Yeah, well, I hate.
Should,
We've
should,
talked about that before. I always hate punching in wrestling. I think it. There's a reason why
should
they
we
do forearms and European uppercuts.
Should we explain the inside joke I just referenced for people?
I think that's better left to the
uh,
imagination.
if I get 150, if I can get 100 views on this, I will. The next time Nick and I do a watch along, we will explain the punching joke.
Okay, deal.
100 views.
But I always remember, and say what you will about him, I still value his opinion greatly and agree with most of the things he says. I know he's a little controversial lately, but Jim Ross has said
You mean Jim
for
Cornette?
years before
You mean
Jim
Jim
Ross,
Cornette?
no,
Oh,
Jim
you're
Ross
thinking.
too. I mean Ross, both of them. Both are old boomer Jims that people don't like when they have things to say. But
Well,
um,
let me give you my opinion of Jim Ross now. Jim Jim, I can at least understand he actually watches the product, and Jim Ross has his opinion and he wants to see something succeed, and he also sees that, hey, there are going to be some different changes. There are going to be some changes.
yeah,
He may not like them, but he's kind of like, sometimes you got to get on board or just let the train go by and not worry about it anymore. Cornette
a bit
doesn't
of a
want to see AEW
Slovakian.
succeed. Cornette
No.
would just assume AEW go out of business so he can go, God damn, told you it fucking
Well,
sucked,
Jim
told you it
Cornette's
sucked.
is a clown. Like he's a character. Jim Ross is Jim Ross.
Right.
But Jim Cornette, I don't believe anything Jim Cornette that says. I'm
I
sure he really believes those things, but he's a freaking he's a clown. He's a caricature of himself. Um, and I think he's right about some things too. Don't get me wrong, but he's an idiot.
yeah.
But what I was saying, Jim Ross for years, and I would read his blog when he had his JR's Barbecue blog and his old podcast before he did the one with Conrad. He's always said that he thinks that punching in wrestling is stupid, and he says he tells a story about how his dad would be like, well, how's that? That's why it's fake right there. He got a guy stood up on the middle rope and punched him 10 times in the face, and he's not even bleeding. Which I've always agreed. It's a really easy thing to just not do is punches in
Right.
wrestling to the face at least. Like you can punch like right now, Big Show's doing those clubbing blows to the back. That's fine, but
Okay.
as a finisher, it's okay. I
Okay.
think I'm
Okay.
more okay with
I
it.
was getting ready to ask you, like, with that, using that logic, um, in wrestling, do you think the knockout punch is a good finishing move then?
As so in my ideal wrestling world, punching would be like illegal. You would get warned and eventually disqualified for punching.
Well, they're
Maybe
supposed to be open fist
like in
shots.
yeah, but whatever. Who's why would you punch with an open fist? The referee's not gonna be able to tell the difference anyway. But I think it would just be forearms and elbows, and an elbow's gonna hurt you more than a punch. But really, to me, I would do very little hits to the face that weren't a forearm or a European uppercut because you can take one of those and not get knocked out or bloodied.
Right.
New Japan, those Minoru Suzuki, when he hits you with the forearm, he hits you with his forearm, and you don't get busted open.
Right.
So that's what and you see some of that. You see and I'm not an expert in Puro at all, but you see a lot more of that in Japan from what I watch, and you have certain wrestlers that really don't do much punching at all. Like Cesaro and some of those European
Right.
guys do a lot of forearms and European uppercuts, um, but that's ideally, and then in that scenario, you know, if you hit a punch as a finisher, then that's not necessarily. If that was the first time you did it, then it's not a DQ. Maybe you could get away with that one, but like in UFC, if you kick someone in the nuts with a crotch shot and it was one time, they just separate you or whatever. But
Right.
that's how I would do punching in wrestling. Like you get a warning, and if you punch him in the face again, you're DQ'd. But that
Oh,
is never going to happen, and
here's one thing I want to bring up right now since we're watching this. I feel that WWE constantly changing kind of the alignment of Big Show's character takes away from really how good of a wrestler the Big Show is. I
yeah,
feel like
that's what I was.
nobody appreciates
Yeah,
the Big Show anymore because they've ruined him as a character and they've made him either a clown or a lovable giant, or he turns good, he turns bad, he turns good, turns bad, and they've just kind of ruined him to the point where nobody cares anymore. But like just watching this match with no context other than the fact that hey, he's right now in this match. If you had no context and just knew that it was like Big Show is a lovable giant, and that's all his character is. He's the lovable good guy giant that kind of got screwed over by Daniel Bryan a little bit. If that's all you knew, I feel like people would appreciate the Big Show, but like they've done so much to him that people that follow wrestling for years are like, oh, that's Big Show. Who cares? It's just a shame. It's a damn shame.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing with like a character like Kane, where like you know, what is even you just everything has been changed so many times. That was I like that punch during
That was
the
good.
World's Strongest
And
Slam.
speaking
That
and
was
speaking of
nice.
Kane, this is before like even I know like the this is kind of the yes movement in its infancy, but I feel like Daniel Bryan really became I want to say a made man, but like kind of really showed that he can. He's more than just that he has enough charisma that the he can truly last a long time in the WWE. Later on this summer when Team Hell No formed with Kane.
Oh, this was before Team Hell
This
No.
is before Team Hell No, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So he won because there was a good gap there between this world title win and him really like being the guy.
Yeah. Well, he was never
So
in WWE's eyes. He never was truly the guy. For
well, he
bet,
in history will show that he was for a minute.
yeah.
Um, but I love these. I don't.
I think we're getting
I'm old
close.
school.
I believe this is the finish right here because I think I
Yeah,
remember. Yeah, this because I remember this part because you see like Big Show pretty well just like bicep curling Daniel Bryan.
yeah. This is
Yep, there it is. And
and
I
he
remember
drops.
we had to give a personal story on this. Nick and I were very excited about this, and there was a child behind us who did not like Daniel Bryan and really wanted the Big Show to win, and he was livid.
Yeah.
He was livid, and then 2 months later at WrestleMania, I remember after I finally composed myself after that horrible, horrible, horrible night, I said, you know who's really happy right now? That kid that was behind us watching us celebrate. He got the last laugh.
This is actually a perfect ending to for this Daniel Bryan character that celebrates when he just kind of doesn't do anything because he
Yeah,
literally won just because he
Big Show
let
dropped
go of
him.
the Big Show. Like yeah, or the Big Show dropped him. Like he didn't do anything. And in this situation, it fits the escape scenario, the
Right.
escape component to the cage, which I usually another old school opinion I have. I think that the escape the cage stipulation is kind of stupid too.
Now see
But
that, but
not
that
to
used
say
to
it
be
hasn't
the old
led to
school
some fun
opinion. I thought.
things. What was that?
I thought that was just kind of the old school way of doing things. Was only escape, escape rules
No, the
only.
old school. So the way I understand it, at least, was the cage was meant. You're locked in there with your opponent, and no one can come in, and you can't run away from them. So the whole point was, you're just stuck in there, and one of you guys is going to beat the other one. I think that, and I'm far from an expert in territory days and non WWE wrestling NWA stuff, but it seemed, from what I understand, that's a WWF Vince McMahon thing, the escape the cage. But most of the Southern territorial wrestling, the cage was like someone's gonna bleed a lot and you're stuck in here, and so their idea is like if the whole point's to escape, that defeats the purpose of the cage. If the cage is to keep you stuck in there with your opponent.
Yeah,
Um,
I see what you're saying. Yes, yes, yes. So there's the precursor. Before it became a movement, it was just something he did, but
Something annoying.
something annoying. But we are going to use this opportunity to fast forward a little bit. We're going to get to the next match we're going to talk about, which is Kane versus John Cena. That is
Do you,
at
are you at the? Do you have the sections where it like gives you the titles or whatever?
yes, I
John
do.
Cena stays true to him. So do you want to go to Zack Ryder arrives in a wheelchair or Kane versus
We're
John
just going to go
Cena?
to Kane versus John Cena for the sake of
Okay,
time because we got a lot left to cover, and I'm pretty sure
that's
that.
true.
But if you're following along with us and you do not have that option to just go directly to Kane versus John Cena, fast forward to 36:46. Give you a minute to do that because this is give you a little rundown of some stuff that was going on. This was the John Cena Embrace the Hate uh, storyline going on with Kane encouraging him to, for better or worse, just kind of call it turning heel. because this was kind of at the height of let's go Cena, Cena sucks, and I trust everyone now is at this timestamp. So if you'd like to continue this Royal Rumble watch along, press play now. I don't think we got on like yeah right like that's the side of the building we were sitting on, but we were way towards the back near the Titantron. Like we could see everything really well. Like it wasn't limited viewing, I wouldn't say, but it also did not lend itself well to being seen on camera. Which okay,
Yeah, I've
so
never been on camera.
I was
Hey,
on.
I messed up my time frame. Tell me when you get to 38, because I'm gonna pause when I get to 38, because
You got
I'm out of sync here.
okay. I'm at 37.
Just tell me when it's 38 and I'll hit play.
Okay. Well, there's a Moonanites sign in the crowd. Um, do do do.
You know,
So I'm
I
literally
didn't
just
mind
still
this.
didn't mind what
I liked this storyline.
I didn't hate it. I just wasn't that into. I mean, like I was no longer hating Cena. Like I was no longer on the fuck John Cena bandwagon.
You still didn't like him
But I
though.
still didn't like him. Whenever they were doing "Let's Go Cena, Cena Sucks," I made sure to say Cena sucks. 38 minutes, Nick.
All right, I'm in.
All right. I was saying Cena sucks. I was still bothering that child that was sitting behind us. There's a Cena sucks sign.
I'm pretty sure I was a Let's Go Cena guy this
Oh yeah,
night.
you were Let's Go Cena, but I grown out of the fuck John Cena. He can't do anything worth a fuck. I appreciated his love of the business, and he could have good matches. Don't get me wrong, but I'm definitely even to this day now that I truly appreciate John Cena and truly respect him and can go back and watch those matches where I was the cynical Cena hater and whatnot. Now finally appreciate him. I'm never going to wear a John Cena t-shirt. You're probably never going to buy the John Cena action figure. I'll pay to meet him if he's like at a Wizard World Con or something, you know. Like I would love to get a picture with John Cena, you know, maybe get an autograph, but I'm not gonna buy his merch. I'm not gonna buy his, you know, big poster. I'm not gonna buy an action figure. Just I don't like him. I like him enough it'd be cool to meet him and appreciate his work, but I'm not definitely not a merch buyer.
This Kane mask was cool.
See,
This lead one.
I'm gonna disagree. I kind of thought this was stupid. I didn't like the whole. If he wrestled in it, I wouldn't mind. I didn't like how he came to the ring in this and then had another mask on.
He needs some kind of jacket to go along with it, like a whole ring get up instead of just the
Yeah,
mask.
like to me, like I'm just like, okay, so he puts on his welding mask and then he's got another welding mask on underneath it. Okay, um, so I mean, we'll talk. Well, obviously, we're going to talk a little bit about Kane and Cena, but I think something that we really should touch on is just kind of this day itself. This was up until the both of us went to All In. This was the most fun I'd ever had going to a
Hmm.
wrestling event in my
Let's talk
life.
about how hot that fire was when
Oh yeah, that
Kane
that is that happens everywhere. Like
put the
that
fire on the posts.
fire on the post is hot. The abyss pyro is hot. Like pyro gets hot. It gets
That
bad.
I think that was probably the hottest fire I've ever felt was that Kane from
Yeah.
Kane though.
It got pretty hot whenever I went to in the same arena almost 2 years before this when I saw the Undertaker almost die.
Yes,
Um,
yeah, but that was the flesh burns super hot. So
no, but I mean like the shooting fire was still pretty hot
yeah,
at Chamber, but this day was really fun. Just kind of a good day to hang out with everybody. Beautiful day too. Just kind of going
it
back and just
was.
giving us a
Yeah,
person like it was colder. You know, you needed the hoodie and the jacket, but you know, it wasn't cloudy, wasn't snowing. Um, we got we got to the arena really early because at the time they were doing the DiBiase posse parties, and that's something that
hmm
I know a lot of people probably don't remember. So,
yeah,
unlike the
or even
punching
ever knew about.
Unlike the punching joke, we will fill you in on this. At the time, Ted DiBiase Jr., who you might remember from Starcast as "Where's that referee? He was trying to fuck on me." Might remember him from that meme and Starcast and Botchamania lore. Um, Well, that was a hell of a bump. Kane just took like that. Just kind of
Mm-hmm.
jumped. Um, he was putting out on Twitter like he was actually hosting tailgate parties in the parking lot before shows, and he would actually kind of hang out and talk to you and sign autographs. And he was supposed to be in the Royal Rumble, but he was hurt. But he still did this, and
Yeah, the parking lot right next to the whatever this was at the time,
yeah,
Scott.
it's a
Scott
Scott
Trade.
Trade. I think it was Scott Trade at this time. We
Yeah,
affectionately, because it changed his name so much, it's gone from Keel to Savis to Scott Trade to
Savage Center is what I always
yeah.
want to call it.
Me and some friends just jokingly refer to it as the Huck's Big Swig Center because it's going to change its name eventually, so we might as well just call it that. Um, like I said, I'm from the area, but I guess I'm just not a big enough into hockey to s- stick with to even know what it is now. I think it's still Scott Trade. I don't know. Um,
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
but we met Ted Jr. This was kind of the beginning of like when I really found out how cool it is to just mingle with a bunch of wrestling fans.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, like that came into definitely came full steam ahead with everybody I met all in weekend. Well, that was a hell of a drop kick from Kane. Shit,
Yeah.
that's good.
In
Um,
2012, Kane ain't playing.
yeah, exactly. So, but like this was the first time we're dropping it. We're making inside wrestling jokes, and it's kind of we're all laughing, and we did a
There's a
guilt.
few people we reckon we kind of knew from indie shows there.
Then there's just some total strangers that we also
Yeah.
we did a 3 count sing along from WCW boy band 3 count. We did that. We got everybody in an area to sing the 3 count
Yeah.
song. We started a Gilbert chant. So like this was kind of the beginning of what I really found like hey, this is when people aren't being obnoxious. Oh well, why do you like John Cena? Are you stupid? Do you not know what's going on in Ring of Honor? Or oh, why are you watching independent wrestling? Don't you know that WWE's the big time? When people aren't being toxic in the wrestling community, it's a pretty fucking great community.
Well, people in your face are a lot less toxic than they are online generally, too. I'm sure a lot
I'm
of those
gonna agree
people
and
wouldn't say
disagree with
anything.
that because I know a bunch of fucking toxic people from Glory Pro shows. I love Glory Pro and there's some wonderful people there. There's people I see there all the time that like I'm wearing a fucking Daniel Bryan or a Young Bucks like, oh, it's this guy again liking crap. Oh, liking the midgets again, liking the vanilla midgets, liking the spot monkeys.
From
Oh, there's
Glory
him.
Pro?
What's up?
From Glory Pro?
At Glory Pro, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, there's like I
Well, I
mean
used to always go
they're
to Glory
not
Pro
bad
for
people,
work,
but like
so.
he's very much these individuals. They might even be listening, and if you're listening, you know who you are. Like I come in with this, he's like AEW's trash, fucking WWE's where it's at, fucking what they're doing with Baron Corbin's great. You just need to understand that this is they're not trying to appeal to a minority fan base like AEW. They're trying to appeal to everybody, and WWE will always be there. AEW 5 years at best, as long as they keep catering to smart fans that are eventually just not going to carry the company.
Well, generally, though, people. A message board for any fandom is going to be a lot more toxic than a convention where you're there in person. Is my point, though.
You're
You might have a few
you're about
weirdos
that's a,
that
yeah
don't
you're
have many
about
friends.
you're about half right, um, but nonetheless, everybody at the DiBiase Posse party was pretty cool. I remember
Yeah.
eating at Union Station after
Hmm.
this.
And we parked
Okay, I
next
also
to
want to point this out.
Bush Stadium. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a pretty far walk.
I do want to point this out. Like, and this wasn't out of any hatred towards Cena or Kane, but I definitely I ate it. Even though we ate at Union Station, I was hungry again, and I also wanted a beer. So this was the match. This and the other and the women's match because this is before the women's revolution, where like women's wrestling was worth watching in the WWE. Just a bunch of eye candy at the time, except for like Beth and AJ, and that's pretty much it. Um, these were kind of like, hey, I need to go to the bathroom. Hey, I'm gonna check the merch stand. Hey, I'm gonna get a beer. I'm gonna get me a thing of nachos. And this is like this is him kind of essentially going. Is it this? Was he doing the Von Erich Claw at that time, or just trying
So
to?
he's gonna suffocate him, is what they said on commentary.
Okay, this just makes me laugh more because it reminds me of a web sketch with Daniel Bryan and Kane where they were. Daniel Bryan was his rapper alter ego, B Dazzle, and Kane was his beatboxer, Curly Kane. And he was doing the rap, and at the end of it,
Even a
like,
crossface.
yeah, somewhat of a
Okay.
crossface, not a good one. I mean, I'm
I've
not trying
seen
to
it,
hate
man. His
Cena, but it's
submissions are
definitely
so good, though.
it's not as good as Daniel Bryan's. That's for damn sure. But anyway, so he's trying to suffocate with that glove. Daniel Bryan during the rap was just pretty much saying like, like I remember the line was, "He hasn't washed that glove in 15 years. They're worried about his monster. It's the smelliness they fear. Kane is super smelly." And then I see him trying to suffocate him. I'm like, he's trying to suffocate him with the sting. Kane is super smelly. This is just what goes on in my head. Also,
Kane has the best flying clothesline. I don't care.
oh
Full
yeah,
stop.
I can agree with that. I think I also, when I did this, definitely wanted to get through the merch stand because they had the new Stone 4 disc Stone Cold Steve Austin set for $10 or for $15, and for $10 they had the new
The
Shawn
Brett
versus Brett
Michaels.
set.
Yeah, I bought that one there too. It was super cheap for some reason.
Everything, like all the DVDs were cheap, and at the time, personally, I was kind of in a rough spot. Not like too bad in a rough spot, but like at this time, I couldn't afford internet and I couldn't afford cable, so I'd have to go to a friend's house to watch some of this stuff. So having some couple cheap DVDs, before I got my income tax return and could get caught up on everything was really nice. That's cool as
Hmm.
fuck. Really nice. Gave me some entertainment. That's a good little section there.
It's a good match.
This is a good match. I'm glad I decided to not skip over this now for this
Yeah.
commentary.
Now, just if you were like the storyline, made it even better. I know you weren't a fan of it, but
I,
I did like the embrace the hate, like the whole.
I didn't
I,
hate
I,
it.
I
I
like
just
when they
didn't
kind
think
of
it was
toy
that.
with like smart fan expectations too, because the subtext of the storyline is John Cena gonna become a bad guy? Is he gonna turn heel? For the smart fans, but you can look at it that way, but you can also just look at it as embrace the hate, like you know, not
Right,
not necessarily in those terms heel, but like I'm evil, you should be evil too. These people don't even like you, and then he comes out and he gets booed, and that's kind of been his mo, is smile through the boos for years, and it's
right.
just a really cool way for them to ruin Zack Ryder's career. Is
Yeah,
what I'm trying to say.
and here's the thing: like they ruined. This was like Zack Ryder had been ruined by this point. He got literally the kick in the balls at WrestleMania to make it even worse, and then
Well,
at
this is the
at
meme though.
WrestleMania
What Kane
2016.
does to him.
Oh yeah, but they
This
made
is
it.
what becomes the meme of like, oh, this is what we think of you. A top rope five knuckle shuffle.
I'm pretty sure I booed that though.
I
Um,
really like Cena's spin out power bombs too. He does before the five knuckle shuffle. It's a cool move. I don't really see a lot of other people do it.
um, but kind of lost my train of thought there. A few years later at WrestleMania, when Ryder won the Intercontinental title, I'm like, all right, hey, they're gonna at least use Zack Ryder. They lose it the next fucking night. I know you
Well, it
were there
doesn't
for
look
that
like
Mania.
anywhere wants to use Zack Ryder.
I know you were there
Or he
for the.
doesn't want to be used.
Well, he just made his debut in Impact at
So
the
I'm
time of this
saying,
recording,
yeah. And he was in, he was on like 3 AEW shows, and
but he only had a short-term contract with AEW. I don't want
yeah.
to. I don't want to date this too badly. I mean, you're kind of getting an idea on when we're recording this, but I'm I'm okay with Zack Ryder as much as I like him not being a part of AEW on the regular.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, I don't remember this being the ending. Well, that's trash. A double countout ending.
Okay, that everything I was talking about the good match, that was just fucking ruined right now.
Yeah, come on.
Hey, he's fighting him on the outside. He's embracing the hate.
This entire like gamut of emotions we've just run through this match is very emblematic of WWE as a whole for the last like 20 years. It's like, oh, this is actually, you know what, like, yeah, the storyline, it could have been better, whatever. You can look at it in a way that makes it cool. The wrestling's actually really good. Oh, that sucked. Like,
Exactly. Hey, look, it's the area I walked around when I took a tour of this arena, part of my um, uh, Future Business Leaders of America club in high school. I did not become a business leader in America because
you
right
didn't make
now,
it to the future.
well, that's like right now would be the future from when I took that tour and was in that club. So I did not become one. So I failed.
I was
Hey,
in
bounty,
FBLA too, and I got
there's
kicked
bounty
out.
there.
Yeah, ooh, they got sponsor for the show.
Maybe.
I got kicked out of FBLA because I forgot to turn in my candy money. And then they got called in the principal's office, and they were like, "Nick, did you steal the money?" And I was like, "No, I forgot about it." And they were like, "We don't believe you." And then I just went in my locker underneath like 15 worksheets that I had not turned in, and there was just an envelope of like dollar bills. And I was like, "Here, you can have it back. I just forgot. I didn't steal it."
Okay,
And I wasn't in
that
FBLA after
white
that.
powder on Kane's butt is very unsettling right now.
From donuts.
Who knows?
What did he sit in?
I don't know, but like when they brawled in the back, probably the trash can. He's got a white powder on his ass right now, and now they're gonna go to Zack Ryder.
Does Zack
Oh,
Ryder have his own dressing room?
apparently. I also
Does every
actually,
wrestler have their logo on a door for their dressing room?
I'm gonna tell you right now. I found this out during the tour. Um, because I asked about this, like, hey, where like to have the wrestlers' dressing rooms at, and the tour guide, she pretty well told us. She said, I can tell you right now, the only wrestler that has their own private dressing room are the McMahons.
Hmm.
They said when they do something like that, they put a sign on the door, and they shoot it. It's not, but nobody has their own private dressing room other than the McMahons.
Dude, he'd suffocate you. This is the fastest I've ever seen anyone get suffocated. 15 seconds. Zack Ryder apparently can't hold his breath for 15 seconds without passing out.
Well, apparently the glove is super smelly, Nick.
Well, I guess so. I guess that was some little canon you had to watch. It's like AEW Dark of this era. You had to watch the YouTube channel for Daniel Bryan to
That
understand
was
this.
before this. This was like the that was like the unofficial prequel.
Yeah.
Do we want to finish watching this or not?
Yes.
Oh God!
I had that headband. I don't
You
know what
bought that
happened to it.
headband at the show.
I bought it at this show.
I think so, because remember you wore it at the Steak and Shake afterwards.
Well, then I must have, because this was the only WWE show I went to besides that house show, and that was Benoit was at that house show. So
He who shall not be named. Or you bought it online and then just decided to wear it there. I don't know.
I
I don't
may
know.
have done that. I don't know. I did used to get. I mostly just bought shirts online. I didn't buy anything. I was broke. My parents bought me stuff. Oh, I forgot about her.
She's the one who would soon go on to kick Zack Ryder in the balls. What's her name? I don't even remember her name. I'm sorry.
Eve
Eve.
Torres.
Okay,
Is
there
that
you
it?
go.
Am I right? Did I make that up?
No, you don't remember it is Eve Torres.
Okay.
I didn't remember her.
Well, I don't know. She actually ended up being pretty good by the end of her run, wrestling wise.
Eh. She's no Becky Charlotte Bailey.
No, but his head was a good 12 inches from the mat on that pile driver.
Um, and then she would go on and then make out with uh fucking John
Why did I
Cena.
think that
And,
was The
oh, hey
Miz?
Cena, nice to see you back, buddy.
For some reason, I thought it was The Miz when he was coming out. I was like, why? And then, oh, got some good height on that choke
He
slam.
did. It was not a bad match except for the finish.
Yes, the backflip out of the ring. It's the best exit. Always chose that for my creative wrestler.
Well, that is
He doesn't throw him off the stage on this one?
no, that was on Raw. There was no stage
Oh,
really. Like the stage is lower.
yeah, I guess you're right.
All right, so we're gonna get to the next part of this, which is the WWE title match
CM Punk
against
versus Dolph.
CM Punk versus Dolph Ziggler, and that starts at. If you do not have the stamps like we do, this starts at 1 hour, 13 minutes, and 37 seconds. So give you a minute to get caught up there. And this was when CM Punk was feuding with John Laurinaitis, and somehow Dolph Ziggler got brought into everything.
Tell us when to go.
All right. Well, hopefully you guys are all caught up. If you're not, get it all synced up. 1 hour, 13 minutes, 37 seconds, and press play now. Now. I'm gonna be a few seconds behind you. Damn Roku remote didn't want to work. Think. Look, I'm not gonna say the new WWE title belt is good because it's not, but it's better than that.
I like the spinner belt when it doesn't spin.
That's true. As long as it's not spinning, it's not. Didn't like seeing champ. If it would have said champion, it would have just felt more official. Oh, I forgot.
Yeah,
Laurinaitis was the special referee for this. God, he had. Oh dear, this guy. I will say this. At least I think they kind of had him embrace really go full bore on the fact that no one thought he had any personality.
yeah. I mean, he was served his purpose for this feud. Doesn't he have
Laurinaitis
a
equals
5-star
ratings sign.
match?
Yeah, he does. I always like using that for everybody who thinks that the Dave Meltzer and I want to say for the record again, I like Dave and I like hearing his opinion more than hearing about what his star rating was. I don't mind hearing his opinion of a match. I just think that too many people look at that star rating and go, "Oh, well, you like this match, which was only 4 stars. I like the match that he gave 6 stars to, so therefore you like bad wrestlers, and I like good wrestlers." And that happens quite a bit. Um, but I always like bringing this up. I'm like, oh, so star ratings are the only thing that is can essentially grade the skill of a wrestler. So by your own logic, John Laurinaitis is a better wrestler than Daniel Bryan, Finn Balor, and John
Daniel Bryan's never
Moxley.
had a 5-star match?
Daniel Bryan's never had a 5 star match.
Really?
Yeah. Neither is Finn
Wow.
Balor. Neither is John Moxley or
Huh.
Dean Ambrose.
Well, those other two I could, I guess I understand more, but I don't understand how Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series a couple years ago wasn't 5 stars.
I don't understand how Daniel Bryan versus Kofi Kingston at WrestleMania
Yeah, that too.
wasn't. I don't understand how Daniel Bryan versus Nigel McGuinness at Ring of Honor Unified and Daniel Bryan versus Kenta at Glory by Honor 5. And I could go on, but hey, it's only about the star ratings because some people that's all they base their that's their like you're wrong, I'm right with how we like wrestling sort of argument is, oh, you like this match more than Will Ospreay's match? Well, you're wrong because Will Ospreay got 5.5 stars. What did your poopy AEW Cody Rhodes match get? It got 4, so he sucks. What did your poopy NXT match have? Oh, only 4. Therefore, it's not good. So,
Those
yeah.
chants. Those CM Punk chants.
Hell,
I
even
hope they
John.
don't ever lose the rights to this song and they dub over it.
I have the
I don't know
volume
if it's
turned
the
down.
chants.
Are they? Did it get dubbed over?
It didn't. I'm I'm just saying I don't know. I don't know how that works when they some of them get dubbed over and some of them don't.
I guess it's just whatever the rights are, because I know Jimmy Hart owns the rights to a lot of the WCW music, and he has not given the WWE permission to use that at all.
I hope that that never happens with Jim Johnson and they lose all those Attitude Era songs.
And beyond. So if they do that with Jim Johnson, like there goes Real American, there goes
Yeah,
Sexy
everything
Boy,
up until like 5 years
there
ago.
goes the Ultimate Warriors theme, there goes Bret Hart's theme, like there goes
Just imagine
everything.
watching any Attitude Era match with Stone Cold coming out to like generic guitar music.
It's funny you mentioned that. We're completely ignoring the action right now. But it's funny you mentioned that because I remember one time, my Bible school teacher was at Dollar Store and found a DVD called Slammin' Wrestling Hits. And she's like, "Here, I think and she's just being nice. Like, I'm not. It was a good gift, and she thought of me, and I thank the world of her for doing that for me. I was like in eighth grade, and she gives me this CD, and I'm like, oh, this is so cool. And then I put it in, and then like they're all like knockoffs. Like I wasn't old enough to know about rights and copyright. I mean, I guess I was old enough, but I guess I just didn't think about it then. Um, so I wasn't thinking about rights and copyrights. And then like the first thing was the Stone. It said Stone Cold Steve Austin's theme with the first one. So I'm like, all right, cool. Let's listen. And like the glass shower is like, ting, bum 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 bum, and like there's just not really like it sounded like it, but it sounded like a bootleg
Something
version
else
of it.
different. Yeah.
Um, but just what got me was just the glass shattering. Just instead of sounding like the big glass shattering, it sounded like a few Christmas light bulbs fell and went you know. You had like that the
You know,
little cute little shatter right there.
I don't think now that I think about it, I did rewatch that first match, um, the Daniel Bryan one, and I rewatched the Royal Rumble, but I have not rewatched this one, and I don't really remember much about it. I think at this
I
point
remember
I was
like
pretty.
the storyline
I
going on
remember
right.
liking it,
I remember the
but
storyline right now was like Laurinaitis was getting ready to like get a performance review from Triple H. Because they feel like
trying to be
he's
fair.
so he's like really going out of his way to like make sure CM Punk is being to be fair to CM Punk right now because he's essentially being told corporately that you blatantly said you planned on not calling a fair match with CM Punk in it, so we can't really have you as a authority figure, which is going to lead to my next question. They were really and don't get me wrong, I really liked the pipe bomb storyline and kind of the real blurring the lines, but then sometimes they blurred the lines to the point of like they were talking about corporate and public relations and like they're really getting deep into that with all the power structure and contracts and votes of no confidence with the executive board, and it's how do you feel about it, like essentially getting that deep into corporate structure and storylines? I can understand using it to a little bit, especially when you have an authority figure that's. But do you feel like maybe that's kind of a little? I don't know. Maybe they're a little too much.
Like inside baseball.
Like, yeah, I'm not saying so much like it's not even like inside as in hey, they're blurring the lines between fact and reality with like things said and storylines and things being brought up to where you're like, ooh, this might be real, or oh, I didn't expect them to talk about this, but they're literally talking
I
about
see,
like
it's like
public relations, and the executive committee, like the executive board voted that that Triple H can't be general manager because he has a vote of no confidence, and you're having a performance review coming up. It's like The Office but serious.
yeah, it seems kind of boring when you look say it like that. I like some of the I liked the B plus thing. Like whenever they were like, "You're a B plus player. We don't want you to be champion because we want to
I didn't mind
bump up
that.
Brian." I like that, but yeah, I think yeah, when you get into the weird like corporate structure,
Right. I didn't mind
the
the B
question is
plus
like,
thing.
who is this for? Like, why? Who really cares about this?
Exactly. It's one thing to go, hey, we don't want Steve Austin or CM Punk to be WWE champion because they swear or they don't play well by the rules, or we don't want Daniel
He got
Bryan because
tattoos. He's got a big beard.
yeah, or we don't
Like,
want Daniel Bryan because he's just a B plus guy and he's kind of he's not very flashy. Like that stuff, okay, that works because that's still relatable on a personal level. There's people that there are common men that get shit on, common men and women, excuse me, that get shit on by their boss,
hmm
and they're not the shining example of what their rich boss thinks a human being is, so they get kind of shit on like Stone Cold or CM Punk. Or CM Punk's really good at his job, but because he
he's got
has he's
tattoos.
got tattoos and he listens to punk rock music and he doesn't go to the corporate cocktail party, and he doesn't wear suits to work. They don't want to use him or Daniel Bryan. Who, oh, he's too dorky. He's not somebody I can put. We can't put him in front of all these Hollywood
On
people
Men
and get
Muscle
them.
Fitness magazine.
Yeah, we can't put him in all this stuff. Like people relate to that because that happens. That
Yeah.
happens in jobs. People don't get promoted because oh, I don't want no guy who has a comic book or a GI Joe tattoo or some guy that is just kind of a meat guy that reads a lot and doesn't watch TV. We watch TV and drink beer. We can't have that guy on be representing us as a whatever at this job. That happens, so I like that. But when you
hmm
this roundabout rant aside, coming back, when
Yeah.
you're really talking about corporate structure, it's like there's no real relatability to that unless except for probably the whatever people that work in a corporation that also watch wrestling.
Yeah. I want you to feel like there's probably not a ton of crossover, but does I don't know how much WWE product you watch right now. I
I watch enough to be able to talk about it on the live
talk
stream.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have not watched Raw and SmackDown consistently for a long time.
What?
Um, yeah. Does Ziggler
You?
still do the elbow drop thing
I, I guess.
when he did the seven elbow drops in a row followed by the big
I
jumping
can't.
one? Because
I
I always
couldn't.
thought that was awesome.
I couldn't tell you if I remember that or not. I mean, I've
I
seen
just saw
good
him do
match.
it and I thought it was cool.
I've
I don't remember him seeing him do that for a while.
I've seen Dolph Ziggler matches and said, "Hey, Ziggler had a good match," but like, I can't really tell you that
You're
right
not
now.
taking notes on Dolph Ziggler matches
Unfortunately, not.
in
And
2021.
I and I have met Dolph Ziggler right before COVID hit, and he
Ooh, that
probably
was a
one of the
nice transition.
Ziggler knew how to make the sleeper good again. I always like that about
Oh
Ziggler,
yeah.
and I like Ziggler's storyline for WrestleMania too, with Mandy and Otis. And again, the
Oh
last
yeah.
one of the last big things I got to do before COVID was go see him do stand up comedy, and got to meet him there.
That's
But
cool.
it was like after a WWE mandate that you couldn't touch the person. So he's like, "I'm sorry, I can't do it. I can give you an air fist bump. I'll get as close as I can in the picture, but no touching."
Due to COVID,
Yeah, this is before
we knew
like
what COVID was.
the day that I went to his stand up routine was when the big announcement just came that March Madness was canceled. That's how bad this
Oh
is.
yeah.
And they were starting to kind of get word that, hey, wrestling may not have fans for much longer, if at all. And hey, if AEW can't do shows, they're probably gonna go under. You know,
Oop. Nice. Famous or reversal into that power bomb.
I just now saw that, but yes, very much so.
This, I have not watched outside of CM Punk versus John Cena, which I watch every once in a while. You know, the Money in the Bank one.
Right.
I have not watched a Punk match. I don't think since he um, left, and I just forgot how dang good he is.
Oh, he's Punk is great. I'm just
Like this is
personally
just a match, like for all intents and purposes, and like this is awesome.
this is just Punk was. I don't know if I at the time would say he was the best in the world. I'd say he was damn close. I don't know if he's on my all-time favorite. If I would say he's one of my all-time greatest, but no, yeah, Punk was fucking damn good, and this is a reminder. I'm just personally kind of over him.
Yeah, Nick Punk right now, like whatever. I don't care if CM Punk ever comes back. Like,
Exactly.
um,
And it
but
was
like
because of, and it wasn't like, and I sympathized with him from when he walked out. I was,
for
I,
sure.
I was on board with him because, hey, you know what? If you got enough peace and money and clout in your life that you can say to something that you're, say to a job you're miserable at, that you can just be done, good for him. I just got tired of anytime something was going to happen. CM Punk's going to come back. Oh, this sucks. CM Punk didn't come back.
Hmm.
Oh, All In sucked. CM Punk wasn't there.
And then he did sort of come back, and
Did
that
nothing.
was the worst possible
Way to come back.
way. Because now his foot's in the door, so if he shows up, it's not as big of a surprise. And
Exactly.
like, I wish he would have never that whole thing.
But it's like
What a
anytime that
disaster.
anytime that Royal Rumble, oh, CM Punk better be there, and then like everybody just kind of had this expectation that CM Punk better be there or it sucks, and that was kind of,
I got really tired of the CM Punk chants, especially when they would do it
oh
during
yeah,
like Cesaro matches, when it's like shut up, like
hmm
this is basically CM Punk. This is like a really great guy who's underutilized, like, and CM Punk would be pissed off if you were chanting his name during a Cesaro match, like,
exactly.
so that always made me mad, but you know, and CM Punk, he has some annoying qualities as like a non-wrestler, but
Right.
yeah, just I loved him. You know, obviously, who didn't love him as a wrestler during this run here? But yeah, I just forgot until I watched this match here how dang good he was.
Yeah, I appreciate CM Punk. I'm over him.
Yeah, I mean,
You know,
this was 9 years ago, like,
yeah, I
and he hasn't
if
wrestled for a
If
while,
CM
and
Punk comes to AEW, I'm gonna go, oh hey, this is gonna be really cool, and he's gonna have some great matches with a lot of people. But I'm not gonna be any
maybe
more
I don't know
inclined.
if he still really has it. He seems like he really doesn't like wrestling anymore. I don't know if he could.
He did kind of piss me off, and I understand that his passion was gone. But when he signed with the UFC, and I get there paying a bunch of money, and you got to do what you got to do, and you're getting paid the money that the UFC was going to pay him and promote him. Hey, that's great. He was putting tweets out like the douchebag MMA guy that's at the gym in his American Fighter shirt that sees you coming to the gym in your WWE shirt and goes, "What are you, gay?" Like
Yeah,
Punk's not a homophobic person, so he obviously wouldn't use anything that outrageous as a slur, but he tweeted things putting down wrestling fans like those sort of MMA people is what I'm getting at.
yeah,
Um, and I just kind of, to me, that rubbed me the wrong way. Not because he's taking pot shots at wrestling fans, and again,
the
I
way he did
understand.
it,
What's up?
just the way he did it,
It's the
his
way he
whole
did because
persona flip.
he's so. I compare it to in the past. It's like one of your nerd friends that when you're in junior high with, and you play video games and Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering and Pokemon and read comic books and watch wrestling. That kid decides, hey, I enjoy football. I'm going to get on the football team. And he makes the football team. And you know what? He's actually not bad at football. And then when you're like, hey, bud, football season's over. Do you want to come play Dungeons and Dragons with us? He goes, why would I want to do that with you losers? Don't you know I'm a
Yeah,
football player now? That's very much the vibe I was
after
getting from
Punk was
CM
very
Punk.
much a wrestling guy his whole career. He was a wrestler's
Yeah,
wrestler, a wrestling fan.
yeah, he was, and I get, and I will play devil's advocate to a point. The WWE probably destroyed any sort of love that that man had for this art form that existed within his body with their just how completely awful they were to him. I
Yeah.
get kind of why maybe like he's going to lash out, he's going to say that, but there's just so many other ways he could have gone about doing that instead of just coming across like the douchey MMA jock that uses homophobic slurs and says, "What are you, a virgin for liking that?" That's how he came across.
Yeah. What do you prefer Anaconda Vice or to go to sleep as a finisher?
Why not both?
Well, which
I'm
one if you had to pick one?
I don't know. I mean, it depends on the story of the match. I can't.
Well,
That's kind of.
I love to go to sleep. It's one of my favorite. The reason I bring it
I
up
love
is
to go to
because
sleep
it's
because
one
it's
of
a
my
good.
favorite
Yeah,
finishers.
it is. It's a good finisher, especially like if you need a good impactful finisher for a pin. But like if the story is going to lead to a submission, the Anaconda Vice
Well,
works
yeah,
just as
obviously, but
well.
you can still have a preference. But my point, the reason I bring it, oh, that was awesome reversal too. Dang.
I haven't. I'm not to
Um,
that point yet. Yep, here we go. There we go. I'm a few seconds behind you.
um, I bring that up because and a little while ago, there was that little Twitter exchange between T-Bar and Sammy Guevara about the Death Valley driver go to sleep, basically, that move, you know what I'm talking about,
I'm
that
not
they both
aware of
do.
their Twitter exchange. No.
Oh, so they both have the same finisher where Sammy Guevara, well, I don't even think it's a finisher. Sammy Guevara does it in like the torture rack position, and he flips them like a
Right.
fireman's carry and then hits the knee to go to sleep that way, which is a freaking amazing move. And I've the go to
Right.
sleep. That's been my PlayStation tag since Kenta used it, since before CM Punk even used it on my PS3. It was, and I didn't even know about Japanese wrestling. I just watched it from YouTube. It's been my favorite finisher for forever, and just the fact that like a cooler version of it is a high spot now. I don't know. It really rubs me the wrong way. That like a Death Valley driver go to sleep gets hit in a match and it's a 2 count. I
I
don't
can
know. How
see
do
the
you feel
frust-
about that?
I can see the frustration there. Oh,
That was a weird
he had to.
finish.
Well, they had to make sure. John Laurinaitis trying to schmooze that he's a fair guy, so he wanted to make sure he counted a 3 count for CM Punk.
Hmm. And maybe I just want to know if it's just me because it's my favorite move, other than maybe the tombstone. Like, but of all, and that's the thing. Canadian destroyers, go to sleeps, tombstones, all kinds of stuff that aren't finishes anymore. Another
Yeah.
boomer opinion I have, but
I mean, I can understand like in a big match, it's that Kings Road style of wrestling where hey, maybe the first time these two guys wrestle, one go to sleep is enough to keep them down, but then for their big match for the title in 2 years at WrestleMania or Wrestle Kingdom or wherever, it might take more than just one go to sleep to put a guy down. Like that's Kings Road style. Like where hey, this person got better and now it's going to take more to put him down. I can
that's
respect
cool. I'm
that.
fine with that. But it was like 2 weeks ago, Sammy Guevara hit that move in a tag team match, and then got a 2 count on a random episode of Dynamite. And I love Sammy Guevara. Don't get me wrong. I'm not talking crap about Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara is one of my favorite AEW wrestlers, but he's not the only one that he didn't invent making awesome moves, transition moves. And he's just a product of the wrestling environment. But
Well,
I just I
and
don't.
I kind of agree with that to a point because you that happens, and then now when someone like Cody just has a really really good storytelling match, a lot of people are predisposed to go, oh, "That sucked. That's boring. What? This passe. Fuck this." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I don't know. There's a lot of
Give you an idea on
stuff
how,
like
how on
that.
how popular CM Punk was. CM Punk is a man from Chicago. I mean Chicago, Gotta take the pot shot. I'm a St. Louis guy,
Mm,
and he got a pop in St. Louis. And right there's Busch Stadium. He's a Cubs fan, but we still cheered for him that night. That's how popular he was.
mm-hmm.
And we're going to skip ahead once. Well, not very
24
long at
Royal
all.
Rumble.
Yeah, it's now time for the Royal Rumble. We're going to go ahead and skip ahead to the 1 hour, 41 minutes, and 38 seconds. And that will, yeah, uh, this will be probably one of the longer podcasts, but it is now time
Are
for
you
the
playing
Royal
141
Rumble.
41?
What's up?
Are you playing
Yeah,
the 141 41?
yeah, 141:38.
38, okay. Are
We
you
can.
playing right now?
I'm playing right now. Do I need to pause?
I'm at 44, 45. Okay.
I'm at 45 now.
Okay. So we're a couple seconds. We're good.
Yeah.
So, obviously, pretty
This is
much
what we
any
were most
wrestling
excited
fan,
for when we went to this.
yeah, any wrestling fan just about loves a Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
People will, I know people that just watch, they don't even watch WrestleMania, they just watch the Royal Rumble every year. Like,
Right.
it's, you know, pretty consistent, especially this last year. The 2020 Royal Rumble was one of the best ever, I think.
Oh yeah.
Um,
It was part of our collective Mount Rushmore from last week's podcast. The one thing I want to point out, they had like these people in like suits holding that up, like, and
yeah,
there was
in like
one,
white
like,
suits,
yeah, like these like white, like, what do you call those suits? Like
morph
they're the,
suit.
yeah. And one of them was about ready to drop, and like the other guy, like one of them had to hurry up and help him at the very last second.
Yeah, because we were at the entrance
You're
area.
at the entrance
Like
where you can see
we were
behind
like,
there.
yeah, we were like up a little ways, like in the whatever the row over the floor seats, but we had decent seats,
Yeah, we
pretty
could
good
see
view of
we
the.
could see some we could see good view of the ring, the entranceway. We could see probably anything that's happening. We just didn't lend itself
Yeah,
that. And we also the magic of seeing that. Well, we saw the people holding him up, but
yeah. No, this was actually, you know, we had pretty good seats here, better than some of the WrestleMania seats I've had.
oh my WrestleMania seat was I could see the ring perfectly, but I could not see an entrance because I could see the back of the entranceway. I could not see an entrance to save my life. I did kind of see where they would like all kind of go down the stairs and up back through where like the gorilla position would be
Mm-hmm.
at WrestleMania. Hell, now it'd be almost 2 years ago. Um, but yeah, I got to see that because I remember they would come back out like they would exit, go down, and then kind of go through a curtain and then go back up. But then wherever they're like
Mm.
exiting, they could kind of still see us. And I remember like Matt Hardy when he was doing it came out and did the delete. And Tony Nese came out and kind of posed with the belt after he won the cruiserweight title. And I remember seeing the Revival at the time walking out, getting ready for their match. And then from there, I just when it got dark, I didn't want to pay attention to it anymore.
Yeah, the my seats were okay at that one. My seats were not great when I went at Dallas, which was not a good WrestleMania anyway. But um, the New Orleans one, seats were pretty good, but best seats were at Florida. That was peak. That was the fewest responsibilities I ever had in my life, so I could get floor seats. That was the last year before I really had to start paying for crap.
Right.
Oh man, Alex Riley, what a
Oh
throwback!
God, remember him?
I sure do. I'm pretty sure I watched the video about him the other day on YouTube. I don't remember who it was by or why he was even existed, but
Wow, this is number two. I forgot about this. I know the Miz was number one because I remember because the Miz does such a good job, like being hated. I was actually kind of here at the very end of it, going, "Oh God, they're gonna let make Miz run the table? Really? No, no, not the Miz."
this was a Royal Rumble. And as we'll see as these people come out, one of like the most like cameo filled Royal Rumbles I can ever remember.
Yes.
So that's like a cool thing and a curse at the same time with some of these cursed entrants, which we'll see. But that's the thing I remember most about this Royal Rumble, and I think probably the thing that even if we weren't there, you remember. There's a lot of legend entrants. There's a lot of random people.
Hmm.
You get a woman in there. There's um, all kinds of weird entrants in this one.
Right.
But
See, I
we get a
remember,
pretty standard one here. A
I remember
few.
some entrants, and then I remember some of the entrances, and um, Mick Foley was in it. It's the only time I've ever got to see Mick Foley wrestle in anything, so
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. But we didn't have like we had some good cameos, but we didn't kind of get that. Holy shit, he's back, or you know what I
No,
mean?
yeah, no,
Like we
like
didn't.
AJ Styles, John Cena return,
That was
Edge
like the only
return,
thing
nothing
that.
like that.
Yeah, that was like the only thing that I think bothered me about this one is, you know, and like I'll probably bring this up as things start. And Alex Riley's out already, and he's fucking out. Um, but I remember like because it started really ticking down to the end, and I'm kind of like, oh hey, who's the last guy going to be? Is it going to be like, and because usually they bring a big return out back. They have it all these other previous years had like some big return, Edge, Cena, etc. Um, and I remember just kind of thinking like maybe Shawn Michaels,
Hmm.
maybe Undertaker, maybe
Well, they were saving Shawn Michaels for something really special.
oh yeah, and there's the truth, Ron, our truth. Remember whenever he from his like remember the awesome truth that short-lived
Yeah.
tag team. Like
Didn't they
wait when Truth
fight The
was like
Rock
yeah they fought The
and
Rock
John
and
Cena?
John Cena yeah when the Truth was like doing this like really weird heel gimmick.
Was that before? That was before this, right? When they fought Rock and Cena?
Yes, it was.
Because Rock fought Cena at the WrestleMania after this, so
They
and Rock made his return at like Survivor Series.
right yeah that's when they did that and it was but they couldn't like I couldn't remember if like Truth was hurt or got suspended or something, but he either way they broke up the Awesome Truth so that way and then obviously when they broke him up, then Truth couldn't be heel anymore. But no, there just wasn't like that big holy shit heart stopping return in the Rumble, so I
No,
felt a little disappointed we didn't get that. We got a bunch of good cameos, but we didn't get
which is why I think there's so many cameos because there's no big return, there's no big debut, and there's no big like shock winner.
yeah.
There's
Well,
no like Shinsuke winning. Like it was a surprise who won, but it wasn't like new blood. You know what I mean? This was like a guy
right.
who had been there before
And
and
honestly, I
like
think,
wasn't that exciting.
and I honestly feel that, hey, look,
Cody.
it's the most polarizing man on the internet, as far as at least in terms of is he a good wrestler or not?
Man, I do miss that part of his neck that doesn't have a tattoo though.
Yes, I will admit though he looks like so scrawny right there.
He does in this era.
Especially because like now he wears the long pants, so like now like
Hmm.
that he's not wearing the long pants, it looks so scrawny. This was kind of like around the time I became a Cody fan. I became a Cody fan during his undashing days.
Yeah, with the mask.
That whole thing just reminded me of like a comic book supervillain.
Hmm.
Just
Yeah, I've
like
honestly I like Cody from the start. Like I've always
now.
liked
See, I didn't
Cody.
like him from the start because I thought he was very. I used to call him Cody CAW Rhodes because he like all of his like everything when he first got brought in. It was just like he was like your created wrestler that would and like every like thing he'd say is like this is what your creative wrestler's saying in story mode on a video game. But then like when he became dashing, it's like okay, this is kind of lame, but hey, at least it's a
Just being
personality.
real.
Hey, I remember that guy.
Yeah.
Um, and then when
I
he became
I liked Cody
undashing,
Rhodes
like it
because
was
he had
really
a good
cool.
power slam.
Um,
I love a good power slam. So even like in his very early matches, I remember he hit that like a snap, like a Randy Orton has a good power slam too. Dustin has an amazing power slam, Dustin Rhodes, but I guess that's where Cody learned it. But a good power slam gets me, and Cody always had a good power slam. So
but
they'll catch the off the ropes power slam, not obviously not the Braun
right,
Strowman
I feel
British Bulldog power slam.
and I've gone on this rant several times, but I feel like when it comes to Cody, like I understand that not like especially for an AEW audience, where people like Kenny and the Young Bucks and New Japan and that sort of thing, that maybe his more old school style isn't everybody's cup of tea. But I also feel like, especially here, like on a platform like Facebook or Twitter or YouTube, like you get like you're kind of in the cool clique if you're shitting on Cody. You know what I'm saying?
I'm so far removed from all of that that I really don't even like know or care what internet opinion is at this point.
Well, I'm on
Like,
the internet.
yeah. Like I
Uh,
watch some of the people on YouTube I like to watch, and I listen to my podcast, and you know,
but
Epic. Oh
it's just
man,
kind of
how
like
could I
you're.
forget about this? Pro Primo, I said Epic on the screen.
See, we didn't get to see the screen, so we didn't get to see these botches. But it's
Well, I
but
think they
it
just have a tag team Titan cover,
true.
but
Um, but I just feel like Cody. Look, maybe he's not that guy that's gonna have the Kenny Omega 12,000 star match in the Tokyo Dome, but
yeah, but
usually
neither
he's
were
he's consistently has good matches. But if you say that on YouTube or you say that on Twitter, you're gonna get hit quite a bit with did you not watch what Okada did and you think that's good? Are you dumb?
well, nobody, no, like, I guess the only really big name guy that ever had 7-star matches was Shawn Michaels.
And he never has
You
seven
know,
star and he never even
no,
had
but you know what I
the
mean.
official
Shawn
title
Michaels was a wrestler on that caliber, but
right,
like Undertaker, Austin, Rock, Hogan, Savage, like all of the top big
right,
guys, even a Flair. Like Flair had 5-star matches, but
yeah,
Flair didn't wrestle that kind of like like in back in those days, like a style that like a Dynamite Kid would wrestle, which is more akin to Bucks and Omega. Like no huge stars ever. Not to saying Kenny Omega can't be. Kenny Omega's a big
I mean
star,
he
but
is right now at the time of this recording.
yeah,
Oh, I even have signed for Foley. This made me happy.
yeah, it was good to see Foley, even though he looks like he's struggling to run down to the ring right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, everyone was going nuts for this one. There is a particular that you always get those videos. Some I think WWE's put them out even, and different various wrestling YouTube channels will put out like biggest Royal Rumble pops, biggest return pops, and I'll tell you who it is when we get to it. But there's one in this Royal Rumble, and it is a very big reaction that they get that I just didn't care about. Mick Foley got a big one here too, but
Well, be sure to
everyone
point that
loves
one
Mick
out
Foley.
because I
I
don't know.
will, I
I honestly
will.
don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'll definitely we'll get to that. But Mick Foley's was one of the cooler reactions and cooler moments.
Oh yeah.
I think this is probably like I said earlier. I went to that Raw as Owen, and everyone was on that show because they all came out for the. I don't know if it was a 10 bell salute, but I remember them all being out at the start of the show. And Foley might have been there, but I don't think he wrestled on that show.
Right.
So that was my only Attitude Era show I ever went to. So I didn't
I
see a
never
lot of
went to a
those
show.
guys
My
either.
my first show was a WWE CW house show. My
Mm.
second show was the. Okay, this is when we
Was
got
that the one I
trolled
was? Yes, I remember this entrance
because
very.
I mean I thought
But
this was
this is
gonna be
supposed to be a return, right?
because I thought this was supposed to be a return. We're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
and then it ends up being this, and it's like,
I
oh.
remember when he comes out. I did think this was funny. This was a good one. I thought.
I remember putting out on my old Twitter account. I said we just got Ricardo rolled.
Yeah, this was a funny one. One of those cameos, one-time appearance.
He has that like shitty car.
Yeah, and he's in the Del Rio gear.
Oh, it's a shame Del Rio's a piece of shit human being now.
So that's what I've heard. Whatever happened with Ricardo Rodriguez? Was he a wrestler? I don't know anything about him really.
Neither do I. I think he was, but I
He
don't
got some
know.
pretty bad tattoos. Well, they're not bad. There's no they don't look good in a as on a wrestler. Just randomly play. Who I was watching someone the other day. I thought that about. I think it was on AEW. Oh, whoever teamed with Hollywood Blondes. What was it? I don't
Oh,
remember
that
his
guy.
name.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I remember looking. I was like, oh, he just has some tattoos, and like they just
This goes
looks like
after
a guy
Cody.
with a few tattoos.
Going after Cody, and
Oh, Justin Gabriel. Oh, he has to have been a wrestler. You don't take a drop kick like that if you're not a wrestler.
no, yeah.
Ooh,
I'm a bit behind you.
did you get to the drop kick?
I saw the drop kick. Yeah, he's double
So
teaming
saying
with
you.
Mick.
Yeah, we're on roughly the same spot. I'm just saying you don't sell a drop kick like that if you're not a trained professional wrestler.
Okay, him eliminating Justin Gabriel probably made me sad at this time.
Yeah, at that time I was probably mad about it, but this is a big reaction he's getting here.
Yes, Santino was over at the time.
Santino had some legitimately funny stuff. Santino also had some legitimately awful, terrible stuff too, though.
Oh yeah,
Oh, I do remember. This is we get the Sacco
yeah.
Cobra thing here. That was a night. I
That
remember
that
that
made me
now.
happy. I was happy
Yeah.
about that.
Remember Santino almost winning
I
that
do
Elimination
hate
Chamber?
and the Royal Rumble last year he almost won.
The one before this?
Yeah, cause he was never officially eliminated, and Ricardo thought he
Yeah.
won, and
What Alberto? You mean?
yeah, that's what I said.
Was the year
Oh
before this
yeah,
the 40? You said Ricardo.
I did. I'm watching
Yeah.
Ricardo.
Was the year before this the 40 man?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. That was dumb. Was that the one with Punk in Straight Edge Society and he spent like 10 minutes just like preaching
No, that was when it
to him?
started out with Daniel Bryan and Punk, and I'm like, oh, this is good, and then like they both got eliminated. I'm like, oh, this is bad. This is when Punk was in the new Nexus by that point. Remember that?
Okay. I just remember one of my favorite WrestleMania things was Punk preaching because it made me so mad. I was like, "You're ruining the Royal Rumble." It was just such a good bad guy move. Oh,
Yeah.
here's the Sacco Cobra off.
Yeah, this was cool. I hate the Cobra as a finisher. Like, you want to talk about a finisher I don't like? That's one that I don't like.
I I I dead ass kind of like the Cobra. I'm not gonna lie.
I didn't like it as a joke spot when it was actually finishing people off. That pissed me off.
See, I can buy a PowerPoint or press PowerPoint. I
You can
can
buy a
buy a
PowerPoint? Okay.
I can buy a pressure point beating somebody, but like the five palm exploding heart technique from Kill Bill. I'm a kung fu movie fan, so any kind of pressure point move, like I was down. If he hits you in this one spot and you're knocked out, I maybe
Okay.
probably wouldn't have wanted to see him use it on CM Punk and win the world title. I don't know, but this is good silly wrestling.
Right.
I have.
And it also brought good heat for Cody and The Miz to take them both out
Mhm.
in the middle of the fun.
Yeah.
Like MJF stopping the ass off between Sonny Kiss and Billy Gunn. I was legitimately pissed off that the ass off was stopped. I probably did boo Cody at that particular moment in time.
Oh, and with the mandible claw. Oh, I was mad about that for sure. I
Ah, yeah, I
remember.
definitely booed. Don't get used to it, haters. This was probably one of the only times I booed Cody Rhodes. Who we got next?
Oh, some pre New Day music, Coven. This Riddler tights.
Ooh, we're gonna see something really cool coming up because I think this was. I don't know if this was the first year he did
Yeah, it might have
this.
been. If it wasn't, it was an early on one.
Yeah, when it was the what is Kofi gonna do? How does Kofi not get eliminated?
I don't remember what he does in this one, but I remember thinking
Oh,
it was
you'll pop.
particularly
Okay, cool. You'll
cool.
pop because I do remember what he does because I remember thinking it was really really cool. And then
Yeah, I remember thinking specifically this was maybe the best Kofi like weird thing, and but I just don't remember what it was. I
there's a
remember
Kofi
Kofi
sucks
always having
sign in the crowd
superhero
though. What the
stuff.
fuck?
Who thinks? What the heck is he getting booed?
I don't know if he's getting booed, but I know there's like right there on the hard cam there was a Kofi sucks
Yeah,
sign.
it sounded like he's getting booed a little bit.
I don't remember that.
But do you remember Kofi's superhero trunks? I don't think he really does that much anymore. Now he's with the. I mean, when they do their group thing, but I remember he used to be one of the guys with the themed trunks.
Yeah, you'd always have
You
like
get
a
those Riddler ones on tonight.
have those for big pay per views. Yeah.
Booker T just blatantly saying he hates Cody Rhodes.
Well, they were feuding.
Yeah, were they feuding?
Yeah.
I just, I'm not
Oh,
really. I have it turned down kind of low so you can't hear, but he's terms saying,
it's
"Ah,
Jerry
I hate this
Lawler.
Cody kid."
I have it on.
One of the cameos, as we were talking about, so far we've had Mick Foley, we've had Ricardo
Well,
Rodriguez, now we're getting the
Mick
King.
Foley was announced. This was the one of a lot of cameos. Is this the pop that you didn't want?
The what?
The one that you
No,
didn't
no,
get?
that I didn't know. This wasn't. I like Lawler. I think Lawler's a good wrestler too, even in this era.
What the
At his
hell was
age, he
that
can
drop
go.
kick? Oh, another one. That is. I did not expect to see Jerry Lawler, but I mean, I probably
Jerry
really.
Lawler's still probably wrestling in Memphis in 2012, wasn't he?
Oh, I'm sure this is before his heart attack,
Yeah.
which turned Michael Cole babyface again.
Oh yes, I forgot Cody having this role in this match.
Oh, damn it. He said Michael Cole's still doing his fuck Jerry Lawler stuff. God, that program was so bad.
Yeah, let's not talk about that though. It's just gonna make me sad. Ezekiel Jackson. I
It's gonna
like
make you even
him.
more sad as I remember you trying to convince me it was gonna be good.
Did I?
I remember because I had no faith in WrestleMania 27. I'm like, this doesn't seem like good, and you're like, quit being a Ring of Honor mark, quit being an independent mark. All right, it's good card, it's gonna be good stuff. Lawler and Cole's gonna be entertaining when you see this happen. Miz and Cena's gonna be good. Like, it's a good card. You're too much on your ROH stuff right now.
Well,
And
you were, in all fairness.
I was on my ROH stuff a lot back then, absolutely. But I'm also gonna say I was right. It was a bad card.
Yeah, you were right, but my sentiment was correct. You just happened to be right that time.
Especially you telling me that Lawler and Cole would be entertaining. I'm like, that's the ultimate lie.
Well, you just saw Jerry Lawler be good in there. He could have. It could have been
Could have
if it
been.
wasn't
This
18 hours long.
one 18 hours edition of Raw, because that's all WrestleMania 27
No,
was.
that match. I mean, that Jerry Lawler Michael Cole match. I don't know how long it was, but it
That
felt like it
match
was
would have
an
been
hour long.
okay had Lawler just won, and then it was
In
over.
in a minute and a half, he
No,
just beat him
no,
up and won.
I would have been okay if like Swagger would have jumped in and you had like that one moment of oh no Michael Cole's gonna fucking win. Oh okay, pile driver, it's over. Like you have that like couple minutes of doubt where you're like holy shit no.
Oh, future WWE champion.
Okay, I gotta tell a story about this. Um, there was JC and I have this inside joke through. I'll explain this inside joke. Done that John DiMaggio told on alternate Futurama commentary. John DiMaggio was the voice of Bender, for those that don't know, where he would tell this story about how, like, behind the scenes they would go, "Nobody cares, nobody cares." So I know, like on SmackDown, like the week before this, like everybody was doing their whole, and I'm gonna win the Royal Rumble, and I'm gonna win the Royal Rumble, and like you had all these big names, and then Jinder Mahal came out, and JC went, nobody cares, nobody cares, and he's not somebody who really like is in your face about not liking somebody or point blank just
No,
shitting
JC's a
on,
very kind person when it
you know,
comes to what he likes and doesn't like.
yeah, like or what unless he's like blatantly trolling you he doesn't do anything like that. So wherever he went, nobody cares. Nobody cares. I knew this guy was bad, so I text him from across the building, the arena, as best as I can on T9 works. I didn't have a smartphone at the time. Nobody cares. No hyphen body hyphen cares. All right, who's next? Goldberg?
Kind of.
Oh, God. Don't even get.
Oh, the
And
brother-in-law of Jinder Mahal. I forgot about that for sure. Didn't know that even happened actually.
I forgot about that too.
The brother-in-law of Jinder. Of course, we have two Indians and they're related
They
because we're
gotta be related
WWE and we're
somehow.
racist.
Exactly. Oh, there's that fucking chop move because that's all Kali can do.
Not his brother-in-law.
Fucking even him and the oh god, the great Kali is so shit.
At least he can sell.
Is that sarcasm? Because I'm not seeing what you're seeing right now. I
Big
think
Zeke. Where did Big Zeke go? His big
he
was
he,
it
he did go to
Impact?
Lucha Underground for a while.
Was that where he was like Big Rick or
Big Rick,
whatever?
yeah,
Yeah, okay. I liked Ezekiel Jackson. I don't know.
he was okay. Oh, okay, Cody's holding. I'm trying to. We're starting to get like I'm starting to remember which of the cameos and the what the who is this?
Camacho.
Come on, that's Tongaloa.
Hunico, sorry. Camacho was the guy driving the bicycle.
Camacho's Tongaloa though.
I know, yeah. I did know that till I was Wikipediaing the Grills of Destiny like 8 months ago. Did Camacho ever do anything besides drive him to the ring in the Royal Rumble?
No, definitely better off in New Japan.
Isn't he legitimate? Aren't they brothers, like real
Yeah,
brothers? Okay.
they're Haku's kids.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So that also more racism. Hey, you're not completely Caucasian, Mexican.
Yeah, for put sunglasses on so they don't see your eyes.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, know your Haku's son, and that's Samoa and Pacific Island, but we're just gonna make you Mexican, all right? All right. Because WWE is not racist at all, not at all. No, no, no.
Here's a bike to drive down, and a beanie to put on, and sunglasses to cover the fact that you have eyes of a Pacific Islander. Don't say anything.
Don't say anything. Go out there and be Hispanic.
Man, some of this stuff hasn't. Oh, and we got another cameo.
Okay, I popped for this.
Yeah. Oh, and he's got his trunks on. He didn't even have pants on. I don't know if I've ever. I don't know if I've ever noticed
I
that.
thought
You
he had
obviously
pants.
wouldn't in
No,
the
he had
arena.
pants on. There was like tearaway.
Oh, okay.
Because remember, they all made their entrance and it all looked like they had normal clothes on, so we didn't expect this.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, now that we've gotten these two announcers out of the way, it leads to the worst one coming later.
Hey,
Yeah.
Booker was in great shape. I don't know how long this was after his retirement, but he's in dang good shape
Oh yeah,
here.
and I also got to point this out. Booker T. If anybody goes to a what it be an Access, WrestleCon, or any kind of convention, if you have the chance to meet Booker T, take it. Booker T's cool as
Hey,
hell.
cool guy.
He was like especially if you have children, like he was
Hmm.
showing like little kids wrestling moves.
Oh, that's cool.
Um, tell my story from when I met Booker T, and I might do this on another podcast where I talk about conventions. But oh wait, hold on, never mind. Maybe I'll hold off on a Booker T story because I think we're about ready to see something cool. Yes, we
Oh,
are. We are about ready to see something cool.
oh,
Yep,
so yeah,
yep,
yeah, for the handstand one. This might have been
yep.
the first one.
First or second? I know John Morrison kind of did something similar where he like
Yeah, he did the
parkoured and
yeah, and he like grabbed onto the
yeah.
rail. Oh, Mike Cole just said it was the greatest thing he's ever seen in a Royal Rumble match.
I did like that better than him just kind of wheeling his chair back the next year
I
with
liked
JBL.
the pogo stick on the chair.
I
I thought
liked
that
it.
was
I
cool.
liked it too, but I think it was supposed to be something else, and I feel like that was like a last minute. But still, everything that Kofi does in Royal Rumble is still cool as fuck. But
Did he
anyway,
have one last year, or did he just get
no, he just
eliminated?
got eliminated because that was like the big deal. Is Brock didn't even let Kofi do a Kofi thing.
Yeah.
Um, but back to meeting Booker T. First of all, he was like $10 cheaper than every other wrestler that was there that weekend.
Hmm.
And second of all, um, I say just really cool, like hanging out with like the kids, showing wrestling moves. But I was dressed as Luke Skywalker, and I brought my toy replica big gold belt to have Booker T sign. Like I brought that specifically for Booker T, Kevin Nash, and Rey Mysterio, who were all at the con. But I was very tempted. He had a 8x10 of him photoshopped onto a Jedi's body with the big gold belt around his waist. And he sees me doing that and he thought the costume was cool. And he's like, "Oh, check this out, man. This one's just for you." And I'm like, "Oh, that's really cool if I brought the belt for you." "Oh, that's no problem. I am 5-time WCW champion." But Booker T's cool as fuck. And I like Booker T.
Oh, here's another cameo. Good
Oh!
reaction here.
Is this the one?
No,
Okay. Because I thought
this
this
guy
was
looks
going to
like
be
Eddie
the one.
Kingston.
That guy does look like Eddie Kingston. There's, and if he hears this, I'm not making fun of you, but there's the a guy we see at a lot of these St. Louis Anarchy and Glory Pro shows in the area. He kind of looks like Eddie Kingston. He just kind of like when he wears like his hat, he looks like Eddie Kingston to me.
Nothing wrong with looking like Eddie Kingston.
There is
Eddie
nothing wrong with
Kingston's
looking like Eddie Kingston.
not
I'm
like
just
an
pointing
ugly guy.
facts.
He's just like a guy.
I'm not. Where did I say in my sentence
No,
that
no,
there's
you just
anything?
said I'm not making fun of him. I was like, it's not making. You just saying he looks like him. It's not like Eddie Kingston's like ugly. He's just a dude. It's not like he said he. Never mind.
Some people might
Be
be
nice
offended.
to Jim Duggan.
Some people might be offended by that. Be like, I think Eddie Kingston looks like a douche, and you said I looked like him. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not making fun of you, but I get an Eddie Kingston vibe from him. I'm sorry.
Is Cody gonna get another legend elimination here?
I think The Miz gets him instead.
Oh no,
Oh,
it
nope.
is Cody.
Cody does.
Cody's killing it. He learned it in Legacy. He learned how to kill legends. Ted DiBiase Jr.
Where's that referee? He was trying to fuck on me.
Who was the what was the secret
Okay,
guy?
I will say this.
Oh, a double elimination.
Ooh, I will say this. Cody's the fucking MVP of this match.
Oh yeah, I remember thinking that and watching this. Like, man, I thought Cody was gonna win it for a minute. He eliminated like all the legends.
Right, like Cody's the
Iron
best guy
Man
in this
here.
match. I don't know if he's Iron Man, but he's damn good.
Oh man.
There's
Oh,
the
and he gets
one
a
we're booing.
Nickelback theme too.
You know, if anybody's
From
gonna come
Jerry
out to
Lawler
Nickelback,
with the line of the night. Tell
what
me
he say?
this is not so.
Tell me this is not so.
I wish that was the only time we ever saw that singlet.
I wish too.
This would have aged better if it was. If this was a one-time thing.
Yeah.
But instead, this is the beginning of a terrible friendship.
Actually, this wasn't the beginning. This is the end. I think this is the end of Michael Cole wrestling on the regular.
Is it?
I think it was.
Was this after their match?
Yeah, this was after their match.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I'm getting it mixed up then.
Yeah, this was that was the previous year.
Okay, never
Okay,
mind then.
I will give him credit because I was sincerely booing this shit.
Oh yeah, well yeah, he was bad. Everyone hated him. People that liked everything, like me and JC, hated him.
Yeah, I think even Michael Cole hated it to a point because he was like saying certain times like, "I don't like this. I'm not helping anybody."
Now this was a fun one.
Yes, it
This was
was.
another cameo here.
This was her only match in the WWE, I believe.
I think it's her second. I think she had one other one on
Oh,
Raw.
okay.
I think
Well,
she had like one squash match.
okay.
Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty
It's her
sure.
last match because
Last,
just
yeah, it is her last or
because it's
best, I
just like
guess.
yeah, just it's just really unfortunate what all happened with this and
Yeah.
why she was never able because she would have been fucking awesome
Oh yeah.
in WWE
I do
because
like
she was
this. I like
kicking
Cole trying to run away.
because she was kicking so much ass in TNA.
Hmm. Oh, we got
So
He-Man woman hater Dolph Ziggler. Oh.
I do remember there was a on one of the podcasts where Kong was on there saying that um, she was at an indie show and no man wanted to put her over, and then one man finally stepped up and said, "I don't care," and that man was Tyler Black.
Hmm.
So Tyler Black
Oh,
volunteered to put
Ziggler.
boo you and such.
She got one elimination though.
Did she? Did she?
She got what's his face out. She didn't get Cole, but she got Camacho's friend, Unico.
Camacho's friend. Tamatonga?
What is this reaction though? He's getting a positive reaction here. I'm
Sheamus,
trying to
yeah.
remember if he was. Yeah,
He was
he was a
babyface.
good guy at this time. Yeah.
That kid behind us was really into Sheamus. The one
I
that's
like Sheamus. I still like
I
Sheamus. I like
like
Sheamus
Sheamus too,
now.
but like I just remember like not only did he hate Daniel Bryan and hate us by extension for cheering for Daniel Bryan, he was really loving
Yeah.
Sheamus, so made I guess made everything better for that kid a couple months later.
Uh huh. Man, you know, in retrospect, um, I think the Bar is probably my favorite WWE tag team of the last like many years.
Better than the New Day?
Maybe they're like I really really like
Now
almost every match the
are
Bar
you
had.
counting NXT teams?
Probably yeah. I mean,
Okay.
no, they're not as good as the Revival in NXT or DIY.
Okay.
But main roster teams, I
Or
really
Cole and
think that like
O'Reilly.
they're up there. Or
Well,
Cole, yeah,
and I'll agree with you, but I'm also
Fish and
gonna
O'Reilly.
I am also gonna say this. Yes, they're up there as a main roster team, but that's also like saying you are the you know the most improved in the Arena Football
Another
League.
cameo.
I
And
like
this
this
was
one.
one I was excited about.
Yes.
I was excited to get to hear. He didn't say the thing, I don't think, but just that music. And
Right.
this is before their return, right? Their little mini return.
Yeah, this was before. Then they joined the
Yeah. So
Authority.
this was like a real yeah. Okay, so much before that. This was like a real special. We hadn't seen them or him in a long time,
Yeah.
and I loved Road Dogg when I was a kid.
Um, but it's just not taking anything away from how great the bar was, but saying you're a good main roster tag team. Well, no pun intended. The bar is very low.
No, I agree with you. But I legitimately think put the bar in there with other eras, other companies' tag teams, and they would still be one of my favorites. Like they're just a very, they had awesome matches with just about everybody. Two really good wrestlers that had really good like chemistry. Also, I think Cesaro is one of the best like the other a little bit ago, Sammy Guevara called Chris Jericho a tag team slut on AEW. I think Cesaro may be one of the best tag team sluts in wrestling history.
Okay, putting you on the spot now like you did me. Kings of Wrestling or the Bar?
Kings of Wrestling,
Okay.
yeah, for sure.
Usos
But
before they really came into their own.
yeah, when they had the looked a lot, he's leaned down a lot. He's a
Right.
lot bigger here, a lot
I
thicker.
will say this much: like I don't dislike the Usos, but they're just not one of my. They're not anything I get excited about.
No,
I
I
kind of.
like the Usos a lot, but they're not one of my
Oh, no,
favorites.
I wouldn't even say I like them a lot. I'm like I don't hate them. They have some good matches. I don't leave the room when the
They're
Usos come on, but I also don't go, "Oh my God, the Usos!" Ever.
The
I've never
Usos
done that.
versus the New Day at Hell in a Cell a couple years ago was an awesome, awesome, awesome match. That's one of the better Hell in a Cell matches since it's just become like a crappy gimmick,
Exactly.
which makes me so sad because when I was a kid, there was nothing better than a Hell in a Cell match, and now like I dread them. Like I don't even. I'm like, oh, what are they gonna mess up this year?
They gonna have it go to a no contest, or they gonna have it end in a?
Yeah,
Are they gonna have it end in a DQ for using a
yeah.
small hammer when a big hammer was used earlier in the match?
Oh man. So we got Miz and Cody have been in here for a good while.
Mm-hmm. What do we got here?
Oh, he was a U.S. champion too. He's threw it on the ground and stepped over it. Okay. You know I like Jack Swagger. I had a Jack Swagger T-shirt. I was a fan.
So what do you think of Jake Hager and his new
I
tag
don't.
team that might be happening in AEW? Sammy Hager.
I don't really know why I was such a big Jack Swagger fan, but I was.
He's probably one of my. I never really got into Swagger at all.
No, I don't really get why I liked him. I really did at the time, but in retrospect, I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't like Jack. I kind of respect Jake Hager's role in the inner circle, but he's kind
Oh
of the one
yeah,
that I like the least in the whole group. Like I respect, like, hey, he's a big, intimidating, undefeated mixed martial artist. He works great as like the enforcer for this stable, and I loved what they were doing recently with him and Wardlow just
yeah. His
staring
match
one,
with Wardlow was good too.
yeah, just staring one another down. But like, and I actually didn't think his match at Revolution last year with Dustin was all that bad. It was just kind of
No, it
maybe
was
not
pretty
the
good.
right.
His match with Moxley was pretty good.
I did not
Like
like
he's had some.
I didn't like the match with Moxley, but I think that was just suffered from no crowd. But then again, I'm also going to say this: didn't have bad matches, but he didn't have anything good.
Oh, here's White
Omri
Barrett.
Barrett.
What is this terrible song? I don't remember him having this awful butt rock song.
I remember that song.
Man, really bad. Boo. That's all I got to say. This is why he never became a big star. He's had that crappy song.
I'm
I
afraid
was
I got some
excited
bad.
when I saw him, and then I heard that song, and I was like, oh well,
I'm
never
afraid I've got
mind.
some bad news.
Yeah. At least Jack Swagger had a rip off Rage Against the Machine song. Did you know that the name of the band that sings Jack Swagger's song is Age Against the Machine?
I did not know that. Oh, there goes Road Dog.
Yep, it's Age Against the Machine. Just so, if anyone ever had any question if it was a Rage Against the Machine song.
It was not. It's an Age Against the Machine song.
I think Age Against the Machine probably had a song on that CD your Bible school teacher gave you.
Possibly. Possibly. What was bad is it had like going back to that CD to go. It had like a cover of the Mick Foley theme, the Mankind theme with like the talking, and it sounds
Mm-hmm.
like a scrawny kid. Like, obviously, like, it sounds like some nerdy, dorky kid singing it. Or not singing it, or just saying it. David Otunga, remember this guy?
Oh yeah. Is he still in WWE?
I don't know.
I'm kind of, he's not the most charismatic guy in the world. In fact, he's potentially one of the least, but that's not
I,
fair.
I,
But I just, he's just not. I guess he's not a very good wrestler either. They're just looking at him like I just don't understand why they never did more with him.
especially when he was on like the reality show NXT talking about like my fiance is Jennifer Hudson. I'm an A-lister. You know, his thing was
Yeah, he had like a built-in gimmick, and he looks like that, and he was like a Harvard whatever
we
law
actually did
graduate. Like,
on the podcast a few weeks ago when I got to interview Shane Rich. We brought up David Otunga simply because Shane Rich was in a backstage segment with David Otunga on an episode of Raw from St. Louis once.
I think I
Uh,
remember seeing Shane Rich on Raw.
so we're so this podcast has brought up David Otunga two more times than I ever expected to bring up David Otunga for this podcast in
I'm gonna
my
start a
life.
podcast specifically about David Otunga now,
Go
and
for
just
it.
review his matches every episode.
Go for it. Okay, who's next?
Oh, the Saint hometown boy.
Yeah, this was at the very beginning of my I'm over this guy. Like I didn't hate him. Actually, like I didn't hate him, but like him taking the belt off Christian was my I don't know if I like Randy Orton
Oh,
much
look at that
anymore.
power slam though. Uh-oh. Look at that power slam though.
Okay, now he's gonna do his fucking
Remember
li-
he
li-
broke his fist doing that?
yeah, he's gonna do his like he's in prison and he's getting ready to lead the gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that. The gay in prison um, gang and some fornication. That's what that looks like.
Did oh, he's hitting the double up, y'all. I miss Booker T sometimes.
So is this the pop that you weren't excited about?
Maybe I'm thinking of a different Royal Rumble because if he don't come out in the next two, I am.
Well, you gotta tell us how you were mistaken then, if that's the case.
You know, I get what you're saying about Orton. I go back and forth. Sometimes I think he's really lame, and sometimes I think he's great.
Like
Um,
I put over the match he had with Edge at
oh yeah,
Backlash.
that match was really
It
good.
was a good match, but like I said this on my year-end awards live stream. I said them having the goal to say this is the greatest wrestling match of all time took away from how good the match was.
Yeah, they should never said that. This is the man that I think probably we all thought should have won
I
and was
think
gonna
people would
win.
remember this Rumble better had Jericho won it.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. This was his run around the ring and say nothing
Yeah.
era, right?
Are you
Okay.
getting some really weird, colorful feedback there?
Uh-uh.
Okay, I guess that's just my stream was doing some. It started getting like really, really purpley for a minute. But he got rid of David. Like, yeah, he would like run around the ring and scream, and then he would,
Like, oh yeah, whoa.
and then he would before like when you think he'd say something, and then he wouldn't say anything,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh hey, we think he's gonna be a babyface, but he's not. Um, but yeah, no, with just Randy Orton, I've seen everything before with him. Like I'm not saying
Yeah.
like right now the best. I'm not saying that Randy Orton needs to be fired or that he's awful and he has no merit to being on the roster. I don't want to see him in the main event. I don't want to see him as the world champion. I don't want to see him as
Orton
anything more than a good hand.
Orton is a guy, and Dolph Ziggler very much fits this as well, who would benefit from like the territory system at this point because there's nothing left for him to do in WWE. You know what I mean? Like this would be a
I
good
know
time for him
on
to
the
go
live
to
stream
another territory.
on the live stream we are pretty well convinced he's going to break Flair's record. He's going to be the one.
Interesting. Okay, I was wrong. This is not the Royal Rumble. I don't know why I thought it was. I thought this is the one where Diesel made his return.
Oh, that was the year before this.
Okay, well that's the one that's always on those lists of, and it is a huge reaction. And I just remember not caring at all. And I don't hate Kevin Nash or Diesel, like the character Diesel, whatever. But I just remember like being like, oh, okay, about like how I was when Hacksaw Jim Duggan came out. Like in the arena, I yelled, but what if I would have been at home? Would have been like, oh, cool,
Oh yeah, yeah. I wouldn't have been as pumped up about Hacksaw if I had been at home, but
yeah.
it's
And
hard
Diesel to me
when
was the
you
same
hear
thing.
ho and see him
Yeah,
come out. It's hard not to get excited when you're right there.
yeah. And I guess maybe that's what the Diesel thing was in the arena. Just no one had really he hadn't been there for a long time, but
Okay, I do
maybe
remember. I do, and then Cody and the Miz finally go. I do remember we started a thank you Big Show chant at that
did we?
time.
Yeah, because Big Show's been good. He's been on wrestling really well tonight.
Yeah, did think. Oh, there goes Ziggler.
My stepson loves the Big Show because he has that show on Netflix.
That's cool. I love the Big Show is the first ever wrestler I met. I love the Big Show. That's why I decided to say,
Yeah.
make sure to point out, like, if it wasn't for the fact that WWE has just not let him have any consistency as character from being lovable giant to corporate puppet to comedian to punch it literally like some when he was the so many times when he was a heel he was just the punching bag. He's constantly getting pranks pulled on him and
Hmm.
literally getting shit on by Eddie Guerrero and
Having
um
his dad dragged behind a
yeah,
coffin.
like if they wouldn't have just I can understand. Hey, people flip flop in their career. That's fine. No one's flip flop more than Big Show enough for anybody to care. You know,
No.
and because they've done that with him, people don't think give any merit. I feel to Big Show's career at all when that's just not fair because he's actually a good wrestler for a giant.
Oh yeah, probably one of as far as like a legitimate giant, because Kane, Undertaker, Diesel, those are like big guys, but like a giant,
Yeah,
a Big Show's probably the best ever.
and he's out, and Randy Orton's out. I know a lot of other people booed, but I do remember kind of going back, and I know I've got some listeners from Chicago, so I mean it's nothing personal to you. I appreciate your support, but I'm I'm from St. Louis area, and there's always going to be tension. You know how it is. I remember somebody in the lobbies were leaving held a sign that says "St. Louis sucks" and Randy Orton takes it in the poo holes. And I'd had a
Oh.
few beers in me at that point, and I go, "Are you fucking stupid? Poo holes don't even play for our team anymore, you stupid motherfucker!"
Mm.
And like he said something like, "I'm from Chicago." I'm like, "Well, then go back to Chicago, you stupid son of a bitch." And there were these two girls. They're like, we're from Chicago too. Are you gonna apologize?" And I went, "Nope, you're in St. Louis." So that was intoxicated me,
Hmm.
um, calling out someone being stupid and hating on the cards. Didn't really give two fucks about the fact they're hating on Randy Orton. They were still associating Albert Pujols with the Cardinals, and fuck him, he left.
This this is kind of a baffling win to me.
Yeah, like especially now in retrospect, you're like, okay, but why though?
Yeah, like you have your occasional ones like when Orton won a few years ago, where it's like it's not setting the world on fire, it's not exciting, but it's
Oh, that
like
was garbage, and that's a
yeah,
whole that's
but
for
no,
another
no,
day. But yeah,
but it's a top guy. It's like a John Cena, a Randy Orton, a Roman Reigns. Like if they win, whatever, they're one of the number one. Like they could always win. And then you have your this year McIntyre, new guy. You had like when Shinsuke won. You had when Roman won. Like you have these. There you have like the two camps really. Like this. Oh, we're gonna put a rocket on this new guy, or this is one of the top guys winning, and then you have this, Sheamus wins, who's neither one of those things. He's just like a upper mid card occasional main event guy, and
like
they didn't strap a rocket on him.
Yeah, I mean, it
Like,
was, I mean, he did win the title at WrestleMania, whatever, this, that, and the other, but I feel like, you know,
yeah, but tell me about his title reign.
well, exactly. I was gonna say, like, at this point in time, the world heavyweight title. Yes, it was cool to see it on Daniel Bryan, but it was essentially, you know, it was essentially an intercontinental title with a little bit more spring in its step. Like, it
Yeah.
really wasn't a world title anymore because, like, the brand split wasn't even going on at this point, and I feel like definitely history would look significantly more favorable on this Royal Rumble had Jericho, because Jericho went to WrestleMania anyway. Just let Jericho win instead. Sheamus can win a battle royal or a tournament or something on SmackDown in order to go, hey, I'm going after fella. I'm going after Daniel Bryan, fella. Our match was cut last year, fella.
Oh,
Not
pretty
gonna get
bad.
cut
Pretty
this
bad.
year, fella.
Just stop.
But again, like everybody like looks at this as just like a fun but very forgettable Rumble. Had okay, that was cool. But had Chris Jericho won, and this been like another feather in the cap of a legend instead of not to saying that Sheamus ain't Hall of Fame bound when he calls a career either, but like a true living legend at this point, like Jericho being another accomplishment for him. People would remember it a lot more kindly, I believe.
Hmm.
I remember not being mad about it leaving the arena, but I
Yeah.
remember just kind of like later on, just kind of thinking,
Meh.
okay, why not? Why
So
did they do this though?
I just pulled this up since 2000, and you can I don't know all of these by heart, but these are your Royal Rumble winners: The Rock, Stone Cold, Triple H, all top guys. Brock Lesnar,
Top guy at the time.
top guy and Rockish young guy. Chris Benoit,
Well, he'd already won
out
the
of the
title at that
blue.
point, but go on.
Yeah, out of the blue kind of elevating win.
Mm.
Batista elevating win. Mysterio elevating win. Taker top guy. Cena top guy. Orton top guy. Edge top guy. Del Rio a little bit of an elevating win.
Oh, I'd
Um,
say definitely an elevating win.
yeah,
Absolutely.
you're right. Oh, Sheamus, this one. Cena, top guy. Batista, return win. Reigns, top guy. Triple H, legend, return. Orton, top guy. Shinsuke, rocket strap. Seth Rollins, you could say the same thing. And then McIntyre, same thing. Like, so really, in the last 20 years, Sheamus is really an outlier. You have
Sheamus
your
in,
returns, your top guys, and your
and then you're
rocket strap wins, and then you
Sheamus.
have Sheamus.
Sheamus in like to a lesser extent Shinsuke, just because um just because like nothing happened with Shinsuke.
Yeah,
It,
but Shinsuke's was like, you know, I would argue that it's different because Shinsuke had never been. Sheamus had already won the world title by this point.
right. I do
Like
want to point out
Shinsuke
like
was a
this.
total elevation.
This is really good. What's happening right now with Sheamus and Jericho? This is
Yeah,
like
this final stretch is one of the better like final two
and
Royal
again, I
Rumbles.
guess wrong guy won. Nobody remembers this.
Yeah, like these two. I'm sure they did wrestle, but they could have a really good singles match here. This is
Right,
basically what we're getting here at the end of this Royal Rumble.
right.
But yeah, just looking at that list of the last literally 20 years, he's really the only one you could. Well, yeah, never mind. You said I just couldn't. My timeline gets messed up if Del Rio had already won a world title or not by that point. But um, Del Rio also had like three rocket strap pushes where he was going to be the next big guy and never was, for whatever reason, one reason or another. But yeah, it's just a weird one. One of the more boring picks for a Royal Rumble winner
Right.
ever, probably.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, I did remember walking out of this thinking, hey, I wasn't mad at the time, and I remember actually kind of saying, hey, maybe Bryan and Sheamus won't get cut this year.
Yeah,
Boy,
and
was
not being mad like is kind of like an insult though, because like I was mad when Orton won and Reigns won, but at least I felt something. Like I didn't care really. I was like, okay, like that happened.
yeah.
Oh, oh, that's a nice. A nice save
Oh,
there by Jericho.
oh yes, it is. I'm actually getting into this. I'm like, there's still like a 0.00001% of me hoping that the ending's going to be different, and it's not. Damn it! But still a good match. Very, yeah. Sheamus
Awesome
wins.
final two.
Awesome final two.
If that
Let's
would have went on for like 3 to 5 more minutes, I think it almost, even if Sheamus won, it would have elevated it just because it would have been such. You basically would have had like a great singles match at the end of your Royal Rumble.
right, and it really was. So let's try to keep the bias glasses off of the fact that we were in the building, we got to see a Royal Rumble, we were it was a good time. How would you honestly rate what we've seen of this event? Um,
Overall, or just the Royal Rumble
just the Royal
match?
Rumble. We'll do two: the Royal Rumble and the other matches. Like
Okay, so
I can honestly sit here and say that taking for me taking away the personal uh, bias of being there away, I can say this was maybe an underrated Rumble match,
hmm
but it's definitely nowhere near a top 10.
so I think you have to identify, for me at least, what you are looking for in a Royal Rumble match. So to me, there's like a few different like qualities I want to see in Royal Rumble. Um, one and number one for me, most important, would be the story throughout. So, example last year, the 2020 Royal Rumble with Brock Lesnar, you know, going through everybody and Drew McIntyre being the one to dethrone him. That's like the story of that Rumble. You had the one where kind of one of the main threads going through was Michaels wanting to get his hands on Undertaker for WrestleMania 26.
Right.
The one when Shinsuke won, where it was like, toward the end came down to like established stars versus new blood, and you had Finn Balor and Shinsuke in there with Roman Reigns and John Cena, and um, like those. That's the most important thing. Ric Flair, obviously, '92 going through like Iron Man, um, and all the Bobby Heenan stuff. Like all of and those are some of the most fondly remembered Rumbles, even though some of them are pretty recent. Um, that's
This
like
one did
kind of
not.
your
This
through
one did
line.
not have a storyline like
This
that.
had
For
none. This had no through line.
right.
It had like I had forgotten some of those
The only
feuds.
really the only real storyline it had going through there was please God. Honestly, was just please God not Miz, please God not Cody.
And Cody, eliminating the legends, and I guess I don't remember that, but you said Booker T and Cody had kind of been feuding a little bit, and
Yeah,
I'm sure every Royal Rumble has your little spats between people. Like you had R-Truth and the Miz in there, and like your little mini feuds that people will have or whatever, and Alex Riley and the Miz. But there's no through line in this Royal Rumble, which immediately eliminates them from being top tier to me.
absolutely.
Um, number two is it an exciting Royal Rumble? Like, is it, it's hard to judge a Royal Rumble by that as far as like the action, the moves, the wrestling in it, because that's not really what a Royal Rumble is about. But that one had some pretty good spots in it, for lack of a better word. You had one of the Kofi things, but it really wasn't full of like crazy cool stuff. I remember a lot of the Attitude Era ones. People had, you had weapons and you had stuff, weirder stuff like that, and you didn't really have that. The other one is the big returns, like you said, the returns, the debuts, which it didn't have. But the cameos it had in abundance. Probably the greatest cameo Royal Rumble ever.
Hmm.
Um, and that's another. What's a separate one from returns and debuts? But I almost would take returns and debuts, and that's like a icing on the cake thing because you don't get that in every Royal Rumble. When you do get it, it really elevates it. When you get an
Right.
Edge coming back or an AJ debuting, that like, but I don't expect that coming into a Rumble. Um, and then the
Keith Lee
final
debuting on the main
Keith Lee,
roster,
that was a good one with Lesnar.
being the first one to
Um,
kind of kink his armor.
hmm so after that, I would say the final stretch, which could be the final four, three, or two. Um, in this one it happened to be two, but in other WrestleManias it's come down to kind of like a triple threat or a four-way match, and the last two people might only be in there for 30 seconds, but the last four are in there for 10 minutes. And as far as a final stretch here, it's not really memorable, like as far as like a history-making one, like the new guard versus the old guard was with when Shinsuke won, but it's as far as a wrestling match, it's a very very good ending. So it's got a good ending. It's got awesome cameos, but there's no storyline. There's nothing really like no great through line or no something like spectacularly memorable. So to me, it sits pretty solidly in the middle.
Right. I feel
I
like,
would give it like a B minus.
yeah, I was gonna say I think it was underrated because so many people think like, oh, 2012 that sucked. That's when Sheamus won and Jericho should have. And I 100% beyond a shadow of a doubt agree with that sentiment. However, I feel like too many people. It's easy and not wrong to say, "Hey, wrong guy won." That brought the whole match down. But if you really watch, especially that finishing stretch with Jericho and Sheamus, that was some good shit, pal. And it was fun. It had a good ending stretch. I'd say I'm with you. I'd say B minus. It's definitely even just watching it back and taking off to a certain extent. There's always going to be a little bias, but taking a little bit of my bias out of it, I can definitely see that maybe, like I said, a little underrated, but it's definitely not one of the top 10, maybe top 15, maybe number 15, but
Yeah,
that's me even being somewhat generous that it's even
it's
that
it's
high.
not one of the worst ones for sure.
Exactly.
Um, they had a real bad stretch there for a while before a couple years ago. Um, Probably not long after this one actually. Um, but also far from one of the best. So, but it's not a bad one either. So I mean, it's I would say it's solidly in the middle, and I would say underrated too, because it literally you don't hear about it at all, and when you do, like you said, you just hear about Chris Jericho should have won.
Right.
People don't even really bring up the cameos, which to me, I think that's probably as far as maybe there's not that one. There is. I mean, you said that they had advertised Mick Foley, but I would still count that as it's not a surprise, but it's still like a cameo. Um, you had so many in there. Maybe none of them were huge. Like Road Dogg isn't, The Rock, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan isn't the
Shawn
Ultimate
Michaels.
Warrior or Shawn Michaels, but there's just so many of them, and the announcers coming in, and Karma, and um, just a lot. Ricardo Rodriguez, a lot of silly things, but stuff that you're only going to see in that one.
Right. So I think this is one of the longest watch alongs we've done. It's probably one of the longest episodes of the podcast I've done. So I want to thank you all for going on this journey again with us. We hope you enjoyed. Appreciate all your support, and appreciate Nick for coming back for this one. We're in the works to do another watch along of some shows we've attended. Nick, do you still do social media or not?
Not really. No,
Okay.
I haven't really used my Twitter in a long time.
But it's still at fake Nick P. So go make him get back on Twitter. And also, if you enjoyed this, please give it a like, share, subscribe for more content, not just from the world of pro wrestling, but from the world of gaming, anime, comic books, and all things geek culture. And you're more than welcome to follow me on my social media pages: Facebook.com/AthleticGeekA9, Twitter at Athletic_GeekA9, Instagram at AthleticGeekA9, and if you'd like to help the channel out financially, I am on Patreon. Hit me up there, patreon.com/athleticgeeka9. Thanks again to Nick. We'll see you next time.